And we are live. Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, happy time zones wherever you might be. I'm Emma and welcome back to Sunless Skies, now on part. I just sent a tweet out. And the title is too long for it to show up in my stream manager, in my stream preview. I think it's 5. Let's say 5, part 5 of Sunless Skies. It is 5, thank you chat. Yes. So last time we finally made it out of the Reach and all the way to London. I think we've just got to kind of the main centre of London where I have 1,000,001 quests to do. So let's get into them, shall we? And we saw a shiny new ship that I won like 15,000 sovereigns for immediately. Apologies for the slightly delayed start. Had to... My chroma key settings decided to do something, God knows what. But anyway. So yes, we're here at London, at St Dominic's Station. There's a billion things to do, so let's just start going through them. So first of all, let's help the amiable vagabond plot an escape, because one of their skylarks is in jail. The vagabond has managed to procure blueprints of the jail where Ratbite is being held. He's excitedly planning a pointlessly intricate scheme to get her out. It involves disguising his distractions, the extremely irresponsible use of hours, and 2 separate explosions. So we could do that. We would need a caged cat, and it would only have a 46% chance of succeeding. Or I could just use one of my cryptic benefactors to say, no thank you. No thank you. When you reveal your plan, the vagabond seems deflated. I suppose it makes sense, he says glumly, scrunching up his heavily annotated blueprints. Ratbite's crimes are relatively minor: defacement of property, impropriety, pickpocketing. It's relatively easy to ensure that the paperwork for her upcoming trial is conveniently misplaced. When you greet her outside the jail, she's half mad and half starved. You bring her aboard the engine and order for her to be given a full meal and a decent night's rest. When she's recovered, you'll quiz her about her old partner in crime, Quivers. By when she's recovered, do you mean right the hell now? Because that's what I heard. We need to spend some supplies to talk over dinner. The jails in London have a cavalier approach to provisioning prisoners. I think that's all jails, isn't it? Once she's eaten, she'll tell you what she knows about Quivers. You, Ratbite, and the vagabond dine together. The vagabond is laughing raucously, telling horrible jokes. Ratbite says little. She's gaunt, hollow-eyed, all sharp angles and scars. Quivers was obsessed with fairy tales, she tells you. He said there was skylark signs scattered around the skies that no one knew the meaning of, not even the oldest skylarks. He believed they'd lead him right to the sugar-spun garden if he could translate them. She pulls a small notebook from her pocket. He left this with me. He collected all the undeciphered signs except one. Last I heard, he was headed to Achlis to find it. Where the hell is Achlis? Yes, that's another thing we're going to see increasingly from now on, is we're getting up to about as far as I ever got in this game before. So I had some vague familiarity with the Reach, and with a couple of stops in Albion, and we're pretty much getting to the end of that list. So I will be playing blind. Cool. My aunt is here. Dear God. Because really, what English fictional trope is there more... what's the word? Pervasive, that's the word, than the upper-class troublesome aunt. Dear God. Somehow she's found her way to the high wilderness. She's trying to get your attention with the frantic waving of her... apologies. With the frantic waving of her horrible hat. I know you've seen me. Listen, I've quite exhausted my possibilities here. I am a serviceable quartermaster, I have friends everywhere, and my scones are to die for. How's that for a curriculum vitae? Now, let me aboard. Is she even your real aunt? Either way, you'll have to deal with her. Well, we don't have a quartermaster, and I have 17 savage secrets, and she does make a damn fine scone. She smiles with sincere delight. Here, take my bag. Her bag is very heavy. And my hat. Her hat is also very heavy. Your crew are alarmed when she boards your engine. Their alarm only increases when she begins to pass comment. After a thorough survey of your locomotive, she graces you with a smile. There is work to be done. She's extracted gossip from you before she's even boarded. This woman is skilled. Yes, and she gets a small merit, which is our troublesome stat so much of the time. Let's assign her. We now have a full complement of officers. Yeah. And let's talk to our aunt. She's taken over one of your nicer cabins, which she has ruthlessly redecorated. There's a preponderance of ugly ornaments balanced precariously on tiny tables. Hideous antimacassars adorn every available surface. Your aunt occupies a felt armchair in the centre of the horror, where she spends her time either knitting or solving truly mind-boggling cryptic crosswords. And the bots are here already! Yes, she is the inconvenient aunt from former London. Because really, aren't all troublesome upper-class aunts basically the same woman? But we can converse with her. I'm rather busy, she insists. Perhaps if you tell her something foolish, she'll pay attention to you. Yeah, again, this all tracks with women I have been related to. Good lord, are you alright? She immediately bakes you a batch of scones. She doesn't even comment on the order in which you apply the jam and the cream, and there's a very English joke. I know what will cheer you up, she said briskly. I've been invited to a little soiree by Bunty. She pauses. An old school friend. I think she's head of the deniable constables now. You'll come with me, won't you? It'll take your mind off things. She considers for a moment. I must warn you, it's a very particular evening. Old enmity is put aside, that sort of thing. It's at Carolyn. Okay, so another thing wanting us to go back to Carolyn. Great. Yeah, I think that's what they're getting at, is that it's not that everybody has an inconvenient aunt, it's that the inconvenient aunt is a kind of conceptual being. At least that's how I've always seen it. Just she can be anywhere, and she is your inconvenient aunt, whoever you are. But now we can pursue some other things. Let's deal with the affair of the black box. To find the address given in Captain Whitlock's will, you make your way through little used streets in one of London's lower, smoggier levels. On a secluded courtyard, flanked by the backs of warehouses and factories, stands a tall grey house, one door, no windows. When you knock, a blind butler answers. Yes? Got a box? The butler is pleased. Ah, a resident has arrived. Please, bring him in. Everything has been prepared according to Captain Whitlock's instructions. As you maneuver the black box inside, you ask what those instructions were. She has arranged for Master Jacob's convalescence with us. I understand the young gentleman has suffered from a prolonged illness which has left him unable to speak and afflicted him with a delicate disposition. The affairs of the house have been now organised in such a way as to never inconvenience him. He will require no visitors. An extensive library has been provided for his edification. Privacy is paramount. With the box in place, the butler produces a key from his pocket, but waits for you to leave before using it. Thank you for your assistance, Captain. If Amelia was still with us, she would thank you. Good day. You leave the house without windows behind. The matter of Captain Whitlock's legacy finally discharged. Is that it? Really? Is that all I get for actually doing what I was asked? I really hope there's more story there later, and it's not just, well, you should have gone back on your promise and opened the box. Because boo to that. Anyway, I got 2000 XP, so that's not nothing. And more importantly, our ambition. Because our friend is here at the Jubilation Day celebrations. During Jubilation Day, London celebrates its conquest of the sun that once ruled Albion. clergy of the new sequence, backed by exultant choirs, preach from every balcony, exhorting the light and order of the man-made clockwork sun. Banners flutter from state buildings, hosannas are sung to the Queen, fireworks crack in the sky, dying into blazes. The last time you saw the earnest agitator, you attended the festivities together. It is not yet time. What does that mean? Okay, anyway, let's buy some rubbery lumps. They don't taste like they did back when London lay in its gloomy cavern below the earth. Presumably one can't get the lumps, but lump substitutes have been invented. Again, for those of you who don't know Fallen London, rubbery lumps are a recurring street food in that are heavily implied to be made of eldritch sea monsters. It's best not to speculate upon what hides within their crunchy batter. You've been chewing this one for some time, for example, and the less you know, the better. When you were here with the earnest agitator, she bought one bag of lumps for you and two for herself. She considers herself a connoisseur. Watch the burning of a gilded effigy. In Hyde Park, where avenues are lined with bronze from sapling lawns or old oaks, crowds have gathered. Flames lick at the King of Hours' shins. His gilt peels and blackens. When the fire reaches his waist and one arm cracks and falls into the conflagration, the crowd cheers. When you were here with the earnest agitator, she seemed distracted. Once you caught her watching you, the firelight gold on her face. When you asked what the matter was, she said, "Nothing," and turned away. Okay, we just had to do those exploration bits first. Return to where we last saw our friend. Soon, the clock will chime 11, the hour you parted. The two of you had walked to the edge of Southwark Isle in order to escape the crowds. London sprawls across plates of sky rock connected with bridges, funiculars, stairs, and, in less salubrious cases, ladders, and that's a terrifying thought. Here is a ladder, and if it slips, well, that's space. Southwark is one of the higher plates. A simple railing discourages you from its edge. The clockwork sun is behind you, dimmed for the night. Stretching before you are darker skies, studded with far, fierce stars. Below, where the lower, poorer districts are caked in smog, the sounds of raucous celebrations continue. The clocks begin to chime. Your friend is not here. You find a bench and wait. Fireworks flare and whistle. The clocks strike 12 at precisely the same second. The horological office keeps them to perfect time. Still, there is no sign of your friend. The clocks chime 1. She's not coming. So, she hasn't attended the meeting. Track down where she's lived in London. I'm sure I can do that. The earnest agitator did not come to your arranged meeting. Something is wrong. The season captain said she was spending most of her time in London. She must have lodgings here. So we don't have enough contacts in the ministry, but we do have so much gossip from shooting down pirates, so we can speak to some mutual acquaintances. You'll need to reacquaint yourself with a number of people you've also lost contact with. You focus your efforts on the dark factories, where, when the last shift had ended, revolutionaries gathered to enact the schemes of their council. No one's seen your friend in some time, not all since the fire. The fire? Apparently there was a fire in the building where she rented rooms. No bodies were found, but she hasn't been seen since. You're able to secure the address. The building your friend lived in was a narrow lodging house divided into too many apartments. Now, it's a blackened husk, still standing only because it's wedged between houses on either side. The constabulary have boarded it up. A pair of homeless gentlemen occupying the opposite doorway are happy to tell you about it. We saw it. Said it was a gas fire. Burned blue, didn't it, George? Ah, said George. Blue. Search it. You understand that your friend lived in the garret, which is the attic flat, just in case anybody was wondering. Little bits of English, British folk have here. Prying aside the boards, you enter, with fire stink and claws at your throat. Thin stairs, warped and blackened, lead upwards, but when you set foot on the first step, it collapses. You're forced to inch up, testing each one as you go. The roof has collapsed, exposing the garret to the air. Blackened beams jut like ribs from a slew of tumbled tiles. Search, but carefully. The building's shell groans in the slightest wind. Hey, we leveled up. You unearth a few burned pages from the rubble. None are untouched by the fire, and many are blotted by rain, but you manage to pick out a handful of known phrases. Constellations and conjunctions. Chrysanthemum, amaranthine, penthine, liberation. Meg, the fire that follows, the courtesy's bloodhound. King of hours, green regent, consult the rolls of ash. This latter one has the bedeviled Didact's name written at the top. If Meg is Spatchcock and Meg, that's two of your acquaintances from the Promise of Days named in these papers. Is this the important work they were helping the earnest agitator with? It's time they talk to you. Go back to New Winchester? I just got here! Anyway, let's go to the Silken Salon. The generous princess manages many affairs of course, and I have another princess with me. You know, not officially, but hey. The generous princess manages many affairs of court. She cultivates alliances, forms opinions, sets trends, makes introductions, suggests promotions, and dismantles reputations. She attracts rumours like a lantern attracts moths. It's said that she fears the light of the sun, and that her gifts inevitably destroy the recipients. She can sometimes be found in her salon, where she welcomes visiting captains. Okay, so we can just sell gossip. We can sell our benefactors, we can sell our... yeah, it's just selling favours and stuff for money and XP. Okay, don't need to hire a crew. Let's explore London. Oh, there's so much more yet. Liberated from her prison below the earth and elevated to the heavens, prickled with chimneys, mantled in sooty smog. Here are old, proud buildings, transported block by block, pale block to the sky. Here are new edifices, soaring steel and stone and gleaming glass. The ultimate achievement of Victorian ambition, unhampered by terrestrial concerns. London is a feverish brew of aspiration, empire, and appetite. Actually, before I do any of these, we got love. And there are new fragments we can choose from. So we've got a spell in prison, a scandal, a mentor on the smutty streets, the August Avenues, haunted, the black sheep, the liberation of night, family footsteps, the bell tolls. What's that? Seen your own death. The blockade of New Winchester, a settler, your club, a metamorphosis, pestilence, steam and soot. Okay, so what do we want? We want any combination of hearts and veils. So that's available from Spell and Prisons. Spell and Prison would also get us nothing. Yes, I am shamelessly gaming this. I could focus more on the story of it, but no. Scandal also gets us nothing. Mentor is not what I want. Smoggy Streets gets us nothing. Haunted would get us a Tale of Terror. Best one yet. Family Footsteps, nothing. A Metamorphosis, nothing. Pestilence, nothing. Okay, so we could go for Haunted if we just wanted one extra Tale of Terror. But I'm going to go for a Metamorphosis, just because, you know, reasons. You could no longer be the person you were told to be. Your old life would have ground you beneath it. You had to change. But was the change slow or sudden? In order to become what you needed to be, you abandoned your old life. You cast it aside as a snake must shed its skin. Yeah, like I say, taking this for reasons. Yes, there we go. We can hunt for the shop that the Aurora Sommelier mentioned that could that they sold Hesperidian cider. Must be here somewhere. There. You find the establishment between the roofs of two collapsed houses. Under their steepled wall it bulges like a tumour. You enter, the floorboards sigh in warning under your feet. Floorboards? Floorboards? What does that mean? The tiling ripples underfoot like the back of an animal. Inside, there are aisles as thin as capillaries and shelves coiled in thick black fabric. Wait, is this just like... has the Echo Bazaar hidden in London when it went to space? Because that would be amazing. There is no one here. A dusty bronze bell rests atop the equally dusty counter. Ring the bell? The sound is sharp and silver in the murk. For a time there is nothing, no indication of life in the store until... What are you? Why have you come? If you are a customer, I have nothing right now. Nothing I want to sell. Comes a voice from the clutter. A body soon follows the voice, peeling from the gloom. It elongates, stretching upwards, spreading into a flare of burgundy fabric. Under its hood, an unmistakably chiropteran visage, its eyes dark and curious. It's one of the masters of the bazaar, called it. Though pronounced adversaries of the Empire, one of them still stands here before you, imperious, possible, and maybe slightly afraid. The red-clad master glares at you from behind his counter. So, about that cider. Gone. What he wants is gone. No, not gone, but almost gone. Little more than a sweet swallow, and that isn't enough to do anything. Movement in the chthonic murk, filled with carnivore purpose. You smell animal musk and hoar frost on rose petals and fruit, both astringent and sweet. Gone. But I could make more. I was Mr. Apples once, as I was once. Other things, other names, other people. Wait, so which one is it that used to be Mr. Apples? In the timeline of Fallen London, is it still Apples? Did he become... was it Mirrors? Yeah, he is the one with the cider. It's just I thought he had changed his name by the time of Fallen London. We've been out of the lore for too long. And this is some of the deep lore. Anyway. You smell of oil and metal and the stars. You can take me where I need to go. You can almost touch it. Do this for me, and I will trade you something very rare. Very fine indeed. A pause. My company. Okay. For one reason or another, you do not say no. You're wiser than most of your kind. I am so glad that you did not say no. It would have made me unhappy, and that would have made you worse. It feeds oil to one of the dying lamps pendulating overhead, so close its breath rakes over your skin. Oh right, so Mr. Apples is still Mr. Apples in Fallen London. Used to be Mr. Barley. Thank you. Thank you for the journal quote. Revealed, the Chiropterous Hoarder is massive, stooped, bat-like where its bones feel strange to imitate humanity. But you did not, so we are now... It searches for the word. Friends, and not hungry things circling in the dark. I want you to see who will lay down their guard first. The Chiropterous Hoarder has clambered aboard your engine with a vast quantity of luggage. Alright, that was unexpected. Well, we said we didn't have a quartermaster, now we have two. 6 iron, 2 mirrors, or 6 veils, 2 mirrors. No, I'm good staying with my aunt a minute. Wrong button. What can I do for you? The Chiropterous Hoarder colonizes your pantry, half the cargo bay, and one of the cupboards in the galley. It fills these spaces with velvet-wrapped boxes of varying sizes, opaque mason jars which sometimes ring with tapping from within, glass displays populated by half-dead and unblinking things. Periodically, the Chiropterous Hoarder can be found in the cabinet it's been assigned, hunched over a new item, a new acquisition. Ask about the luggage? The Chiropterous Hoarder glowers, its expression glacial. When it becomes clear that it cannot intimidate you into leaving, your quartermaster sighs and relents. A jellyfish still alive, it whispers, its voice soared down to a growl. As it speaks, the hoarder trails a claw along each item. A dream of freedom piped into glass, verdant spores that will never die, everything immortal or that aspires to be immortal. I am making an inventory of them. Okay. I can compliment him. Fails 55% chance. Sure, why not? Yay! You can't have it. Hisses at you from under its oversized cowl. You explain that compliments are not meant to be transactions. The Chiropterous Hoarder is initially distrustful of your exposition, and then transported at this epiphany. Appreciation without condition. What a winsome novelty. It's not like that where I come from. Before London. Long before. They just take. Teeth slanted to view. But that's acceptable. I take their things too. Whose things? And where did it come from? Here. The wilderness. Lush and velvety with so many treasures, so many hungry tastes. There were others with me, yes, but none of them were as clever as me. I know how to make immortality. I know how to make collections that last. Its ears flatten. And this is why I must be careful. Be small now. Probe the Chiropterous Hoarder's ambitions. What does it care about? Need to move the mic out of the way. Honestly, this voice isn't as harsh as some of them, because it's like all the fry comes in the back of my mouth, not in my throat. I have a dream, it confides, picking up the hem of its claret cloak. An ear, long velveteen, droops from its cowl. An old dream. An excellent dream. I would make my collection perfect. To do this, there is a corpse that I must visit. Your kind named it Faith's Fall. Oh my god, you want to go back to the Reach as well? Appropriate, I think. If I could travel there, if I had help from Bronzewood, I could build the thing that I need. For a moment, its eyes are the universe, garbed and glorious with stars. But you couldn't spare the crew, or the timber, or the time. Not for me. No, not for me. It ducks its head. 6 pieces of bronzewood and 5 spare crew to the corpse of something Eldritch. Seems legit, question mark? But about the other masters. Need to know if I'm gonna run into them. Her Majesty came to regret her agreement with us. She reneged and fled the Pit City for the sky. Most of my colleagues remained behind, fat and sleek, and content at the heart of the new 6th city. But a few of us had languished long enough in the dark. We sought the chance to return home, to the heavens. So in secret, a few of us followed you to the sky. Most of us did so quietly. One of us made too much noise, and her renewed majesty overheard. It has a job now. The Horde sniffs. Tragic. And now I want to know what the 6th city is. They're never going to tell us, are they? But that is interesting to me, because that was such a recurring mystery, eventually, especially in the early days of Fallen London, even before it was called Fallen London as a game, back when it was called Echo Bazaar. One of the recurring things was what were the first 4 cities to make a deal with the Masters, because London is the 5th. Maybe in another game, indeed. Because what did it eventually settle on? The 4th is Karakorum. No. Yes? Yes, Karakorum. In Mongolia. The 3rd I don't think we ever nailed down the third. It's somewhere in Mesoamerica. The second is in Egypt, probably either Alexandria or like Amana. And the first was probably like But yeah, there's a lot of lore there. Does it know Mr. Menagerie? All you people know each other, right? Silence, the kind not unlike a man trying to recall a favourite meal, overtakes the chiropter's horde for an interval. At last it brightens. It sells delicious things. Okay, that's a thing I am not asking further. But what else is there in London? Ah, so here we have the first secondment thing we can do. We can let the princess set up a salon and pick her up again later. But I'm good for now. And we can help the driver search for the verdant fragment. We now have a 30% chance of success. We still fail, but that's fine. We're just nailing down where it could be. And also, the fortunate navigator wanted to be here. Go with him to the ambassador's house. The navigator waits for you. I've been away some time. Your vouching for me would make a good impression. I want to make her proud. The house is small, but is in an expensive location. It's well kept, the windows are clean, the steps freshly swept. Asphodel is flourishing in an urn by the steps. It still feels like home. The navigator gazes at the front door. It feels strange to know I'm just visiting. Ring the doorbell. The navigator stands beside you as he fidgets with a loose thread on his sleeve. The grieving matriarch herself opens the door. She sees the navigator and yelps. She laughs, it disintegrates into tears. The navigator enfolds the woman in a hug. The matriarch glares up at the navigator fondly. I've been so worried. The moment I knew you'd signed up, it's so dangerous out there. What if something could happen to you too? She hustles the pair of you into the drawing room. My husband's at work. He'll be disappointed to have missed you. The grieving matriarch is determined you'll join her for tea. She even refuses to let the servants assist. She's rushing towards the kitchen when the navigator intervenes. We can't stay long. I must impose on the captain. I promise I'll come back soon. He draws the matriarch close and lowers his voice. I came to ask, may I borrow the key? Haven't been able to pay my respects. The grieving matriarch looks mortified. Do we want to be nosy or not? The answer is yes, because words. The woman takes an iron key from a side table. Please keep it. I'm not going in again. Will the captain take you to the Empyrean? She searches the navigator's face. You look tired. Are you working too hard? I'm fine. I'm first officer. I'm doing well. You're all skin and bone. Is the captain feeding you? The matriarch turns angrily towards you. Please, don't. The navigator's voice is barely audible. Well, Altan, I asked them to contact you. I asked... The matriarch rushes from the room. She returns, more composed and carrying a well-read book. You should have this. She refuses to let the navigator leave till he's promised to write and to visit again soon. Speak to him aboard your engine to continue. We'll do that now, because otherwise I'll forget. The navigator is... Yes, we have said that bit. Let's persuade him to talk, because we have so many savage secrets. Even off-duty, the navigator is constantly checking through. He's avoiding being alone. Let him know that you've seen this before. He has to share his burden. The navigator joins you in his cabin. Finally, the words tumble out. I thought I was alright. I just got on with my work. I was doing well. He reaches beneath his bunk to pull out the book the matriarch gave him. Altan read this all the time. He'd act it out, do the voices. It's the Epic of King Gaisa. A little bit of good old ancient Mongolian history. Well, Epic of King Gaisa, is that Mongolian or like, I'm gonna say Uzbek? Altan knew the true me. He shed his clothes, helped me bind my chest the first time. Okay. They do... I think they are very successful at getting very casual queer content into this universe, and that's always very nice. Got me into my first fistfight. The Navigator sits up proudly. He was my best friend. When we were children, I made a promise to him. The Navigator stares blindly at the book. Please continue. What was promise? When we were grown up, we'd go exploring together. We'd go on great quests, do mighty things. The Navigator takes several breaths before continuing. We'd be heroes. People would write stories about us. Now I'm exploring the skies. The Navigator turns his face away. He didn't even get to leave home. He wipes his eyes on his sleeve and stands resolute. I'm not going to break my promise. I will give him adventures worthy of King Gaisa. Please, Captain, I want to go to Eagle's Imperium. I'm breaking him out of his tomb. But I'll need your help. You'll need a visa to come with me. The London Embassy there will give you one. He frowns. If you've not been to Eleutheria, the relay is near Hybris, in the Reach. Okay, right, so that's a thing to do in Eleutheria, so that's for the future. New favourite first officer? Yes, it's suddenly gone up in my estimation, because, I am easy to get on your side, and sometimes all it takes is well-handled trans content. Okay, the Repentant Devil wants to come and see the Baroness of Hell in London, but I need a selection of immaculate souls. I don't even know where I would get that. So let's just wander the streets a bit. Today, the crowds are thronging to the shops in New Regent Street. Black and gold, the Empress's own colours, are very much in fashion. Golden gowns and hats gleam in the slow, syrupy light of the distant clockwork sun. That is all. Okay. Now we can go to the Steam and Sapphire Yards. Its engineers will conduct brisk locomotive repairs for visiting captains, but their chief responsibility is the production of small but essential components used by a dozen different engine manufacturers. Well, we do need some repairs, so... Macquarie's Tobacco Shop. The sign over the door once read, Macquarie and Son, fine tobacco. But since then, someone has crossed out the word fine in a fit of honesty. Then, on a separate, more ominous occasion, they have crossed out and Son. The building's embarked on a rapid descent into squalor. Paint peels, the windows are caked with grime. Let's have a look at some smokes. The selection is unimpressive, as is the quality. Neither Albion nor the Reach has found a genuinely good replacement for tobacco, though increasingly frantic smokers have tried lighting up virtually every example of Skyflora that has been discovered that tracks. A few Skyfarers mill about, examining the lower grade flavours, and speculating on exactly what Macquarie is cutting them with today. The more expensive brands are untouched in their glass cases. You'd wonder how this place managed to stay open if it weren't for the fact that it is so obviously on the brink of closure. And probably collapse. Okay, maybe there'll be something to do there later. But not yet. And also, investigate rumours of an underground railway. You've heard of a less than legal organisation operating out of the Steam and Sapphire Yards. We have so many savage secrets. They pay for information and may offer work to the bold, the clever, and those willing to displease Her Majesty. Well, we're here to do our revolutionary junk. Investigate it yourself. You've gathered secrets on your travels. 2 of them offer clues to the Yard Gang's identity. With a little sniffing around, 2 pieces of information become relevant. The name of a stalwart bookkeeper, and the number of the engine shed where he keeps his office. This man is, you are certain, an agent of the group you seek. You decide to pay him a visit. He occupies a tiny, smoky office cobbled together from corrugated iron sheets at the back of one of the engine sheds. It's stacked with nicotine-stained account books and boxes full of oily brackets. bookkeeper looks up at you as you enter and gestures to a chair. He offers you a cup of tea, savagely stewed and swimming with sugar. He's deaf, but content to communicate through sign language or messages scribbled on a pad of paper. Obliquely, he explains that he does additional work for an organisation unaffiliated with the government, which has an urgent need for up-to-date reports on other parts of Albion. His patrons will pay for such intelligence to be brought to them rather than the Ministry. What's more, he implies, earning the organisation's trust might open the possibility of additional work. Okay, so this is the alternative to taking my 4 reports to the Ministry. That is good to know. A little bit laggy today, not sure what's up with that. We already checked the shops, I believe. Or maybe not. So what have we got? How am I doing for prospects? Okay. The Avid Horizon and the Cold Sun both want Ministry approved literature. Can't buy that here, can I? Seriously, why is this game lagging? Anyway, let's restock on our supplies. Is London too much for you, game? You're having some trouble. I could buy a better shotgun. Oh, it needs iron 50, no. Oh, and I can't buy the mid-tier engines here. And let's look covetously at the ship I desperately want to buy, and it's still not a ship, it's a train. Look at that. Those are good numbers. 6,000. I can make 6,000 submarines. That's doable. Okay, so where am I heading? Am I seriously thinking about just heading straight back to the Reach? Because, well, we can't do the thing for Mr. Appleton Face Fall. We don't have enough bronzewood for it. I do have some bronzewood delivered to Port Haven. I've got a couple things in Carolyn. No, you know what? Let's just keep exploring Albion a bit. I know we'll need to leave eventually, but I want to take a look around. Okay, touch wood, we seem to have got a bit less lag when we're actually out in the skies moving. I've got enough supplies that I can use my owl when I want to. And we can just go find things, do some exploring, strike out. But in a, you know, good way, not in a losing way. I saw something say the Clockwork Sun is to the west-southwest of London. That sounds awesome, let's go and check that out. Or whatever we find when we're trying to get there, because that sounds like my usual style. That's a wall. That, however, is background. Oh no, we are still getting a little bit of chug. Apologies if it's affecting the stream quality at all. I can boot some stuff. Humble wooden coffins pepper the sky here. This is Bully's Acre, Pauper's Graveyard. There's a little room for the dead in London. Some compare respects to reduce terror. You could break out a coffin, or investigate a mysterious gleaming. There's only 44% chance of that, whereas 88% chance of just stealing something. You take your least scrupulous signaller out onto the footplate. You bring no lanterns, relying on your sight and distant sunlight that scintillates off a few broken fragments of glass nearby. Soon enough, a promising coffin of pleasing bulk passes by, close enough to touch. Deft work with the coal shovel brings it aboard. Break it open in your cabin. Inside, the waxen face of a newly dead auditor. Who bothers to bury an auditor in state? Within his stiffening fingers, the favoured poetry of the Empress. We got some literature. Damn, I should have taken one of those prospects to deliver some literature. Ah well, not turning around now, only ever forward. You know how this stream goes. In the legacy of the hubris. Never turn back. Owl, find me a thing to go and look at. The owl found me a thing. Not at the station, so boo to that, but... There's music around here, which normally means we're close to something interesting. And it's dramatic music. Get that organ. Organ go bwah. There's another Empire Dreadnought that I don't want to be in a fight with. There's two of them. But they shouldn't have any reason to find me. I've done nothing wrong currently that you know about. Oh, they're those monitor ships. Right, yes. Where we went to the unveiling ceremony of them. And we did kind of publicly protest the unveiling of them, so maybe we should be more worried about them. What's over here, I wonder? Don't have assaying, because I elected not to buy that. Because I was too busy having to drill. Everyone loves drill. Drills, I don't know. Am I referring to the tool, or the music genre, or the mysterious Twitter sage? Who can say? Who can say? Just drill. I'm no longer in any way going west-southwest, but let's see where I am going. Owl, tell me a thing! The owl tells me a thing. Nothing particularly interesting, there's something grave down there that I probably can't investigate without assaying. Owl, tell me something useful. For once in your tiny cyclopean life. Wow, that was a bit harsh when I said it out loud. Sorry, Owl. Owl, I respect you and your personal circumstances. Now go find me something. Well, there's a fight going on. Here in Ryanus Resound. Nothing. There's a weird effect here. There's a ministry ship fighting a Star-Maddened explorer. This is certainly something. Oh, that's probably not good. Oh, this is that big storm we ran into earlier, except now it's somewhere else. At least I assume that's what this is. I'm feeling extremely threatened right now. Also, I don't seem to really be getting away from it. Which concerns me. Okay, no. Okay. That happened. And that's a fluke. Oh god, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you. Do not want. Oh, and that's a wall. So, for those of you who don't know, where the hell am I? I'm approaching the southern edge of Alton. So, about this reckless exploration plan, and I use the word plan quite loosely. So yes, for those of you who don't know, flukes are things, are giant sea urchins from another planet. They are the ones who made rubbery men, so that they could more easily interact with humans when they came here. They're very old and large and powerful and mysterious, and they... Okay, here's a big old ship graveyard. Yeah, and they make a lot of heavy use of the correspondence, and I just ran into a thing. Okay, that's what happens when you talk while you drive. Well, let's see. You've strayed into a place where the weave of time has frayed. Oh no. The sky groans, the borders that separate past and future crumble, and your engine is dragged in. So we can tell them to try and escape, 48% chance, or just go for it and we will not emerge unchanged. We're here in the spirit of hubris anyway. The boiler rumbles, the chimneys spume, you urge your locomotive forward into the churn of time. The present quivers, falters, and is torn away. The horological office may be able to tell you more, because it's what they know. Within the weft, past and future, not like dueling pythons. Nothing is constant. Another age washes over your locomotive and everything changes. When you leave the weft, some of your present circumstances will follow you out. Be careful when you depart. So we can escape a time when all was good as new, an old moment from long ago, worn bright with nostalgia. This is the day you first boarded your locomotive. Her fittings gleam, she smells of fresh wood and new brass and oil. You were both more innocent then. So we could gain hull, lose terror, experience, and sky stories. Well, we would gain literally nothing because our hull's already maxed, so perhaps if you tolerate this current present a while longer, or hide from it, or pray, it will pass. Perhaps another time will replace it. Perhaps you'll like that one better. And we gain some terror. You have only to endure, and the chaos of the weft will sweep your current circumstances away as another time gains dominance. You can feel its approach, roaring like a gathering tide. Escape the days of innocence. This is an hour from the recent past. The captain's log is open on the arm of your chair. You've just written the date of a recent departure from port. The manifest shows your stores, healthy and with fuel and supplies. The crew chatter cheerfully. They do not know what awaits them. Gain fuel and supplies and lose sky stories and experience. That actually sounds like a good deal. But we failed. You try to maintain a calm demeanour as you order a radical course change that would steer you from the weft. Your crew are unconvinced. As they hesitate, perhaps suspecting you of star madness, another shiver in the weft shakes your engine. And this time comes another. And somebody died. Escape a moment of crisis. Your engine heaves, throwing you to the floor, a shrill shriek of rending steel. Something is gutting your engine, great claws prizing apart the hull. Is this past? Future? The gun batteries thunder. Sky-suited crew pepper the breach with small arms fire as a shape presses hungrily against it. Lose hull, but gain terror, uncanny specimens, and munitions. That is a good range of stuff. How much hull, though? Oh, let's chance it. Okay, not that much, not that much, not that much. I've lost more in dumb fights and gained less. And punched the mic. You force your way through the battle to the bridge, ordering an evasive maneuver that casts off your attacker and sends you thundering from the weft. Your engine's scars remain, along with the rounds that have been freshly loaded into the guns, and several of your aggressor's talents blasted props in the fray. Gained some terror, 2 crates of munitions, 2 uncanny specimens, lost 20 health. It's not the date that it was. Oh wow, yeah, that's gone forward like a month, I think. Ow. Owl, I need good news. I've not had enough of that recently. Owl found something. A station and a platform. But which one first? Answer the station, obviously. I was about to say, weren't we meant to have gained fuel and supplies? No, that was for the one we failed. Aha! Here is something. And they have a station. Somebody says I can hear the Z. Yes, the update will be on May 19th. Looking forward to that. Things are going to... Many things will change suddenly. Oh, it's the Avid Horizon! The Avid Horizon, those of you who've played Sunless Sea may remember from that. And I think you can get to it in Formula London. Yeah, it's a big ice gate at the northernmost edge of everything, and that's how we got to space in the first place, by opening it. The Avid Horizon consists of 3 parts: the home office clinging to a pillar of ice, the gate through which London has entered the sky, flanked by its towering statues, and the quiet sea, whose waters are home to those left behind. The very edge of the high wilderness, the border between now and then, here and there, the skies and earth. The few lonely buildings of the port face the great gate of the Avid Horizon. Bordered by 2 vast winged statues, the gate towers over the shrouded sea that divides the port and the gate. The other side of the gate opens far beneath the earth, on the bleak shore of a subterranean sea. London rested there for a while Her Majesty was indisposed with grief. A handful of years ago, though, she led an exodus of Londoners through the Avid Horizon and into the sky. You were among them. Do you remember how you came to this place? Yes. We fled London from a freer horizon. When London was underground in the dark, your beliefs were permissible. But when Her renewed Majesty turned her attention to the stars, tyranny grew. It was only a matter of time before the newly invigorated Ministry of Public Decency caught you. But then, as they closed in, you received a Christmas card, an invitation to Winter's Reside in Eleutheria, where revolution has found a home. You stole onto a steamer, making its way north. You survived on condensation until you reached the gate. Its statues loomed like giants. The door was open, and the space within was filled with suns and stars and light. The Home Office occupies a stately, albeit crumbling manor house on the edge of an icy precipice high above the quiet sea. Once thousands passed through its elegant halls on their way into Albion. The gate's closed now, and has been for over a year. No one comes through, and no one leaves. Now only a skeleton crew staffs it, and only a handful of incomers remain, stuck here waiting for pardons or permissions that never came. Her renewed Majesty has a long memory. Let's compile a port report. The few bureaucrats stationed at the Avid Horizon for one departmental sin or another reside in desperate melancholy. Those detained within the faded confines of the Bureau are almost reconciled to their fate, listlessly hoping for a reprieve from London that will likely never come. Beyond the Bureau, the sea and the sky lingers like morning mist. Exiles dwell there on tethered ships strung together, dwarfed by the eternal and uncaring statues that mark the gate to a home that cannot be returned to. This was the possible secondment place for the devil. Present yourself at the Home Office. Protocol is everything when it comes to dealing with London's bureaucracy, even at this outpost. Especially at this outpost. The acting senior probator is responsible for monitoring all those trapped in the Home Office. The detainees forbidden entry to Albion with no way back through the gate. He sits behind a little desk in the echoing hallway of the manor. He keeps 3 things on his desk: a wind-up clock, 2 battered mugs. He surveys you coolly. You're welcome to take a look around, though. You have precious little in the way of diversions. Have you been out to the flotilla? I must ask you not to pay too much attention to the cultists. And if you have not, I'd recommend staying away. There are good reasons, but they would never allow you to Albion. Aye. We can take tea. Love that option. The Home Office supplements its meagre funds with a haphazard tea room open for the occasional visitor. Steeped and stewed, the tea has lingered in the Home Office for a very long time. An elderly detainee leans in conspiratorially. Much better than a few years back. It's improved with age. Matured. The detainee is quickly shuffled away so that you can enjoy your tea in peace. Cool, lost terror, always good. So about the sea? Sunlit sea. A satisfactory scientific answer has yet to be presented. Theories have sprouted like mushrooms in its place. Some say that when the gate was opened, the undersea spilled through, filling the sky like a leaky tap filled the sink, until Her Majesty's government was able to plug it. Others believe the sea to be verily the effluvia of the murdered sun, amniotic fluid to support the generation of a new sun, the fault of the Royal Society, an industrial accident covered up by one of the work worlds, the tears of Her renewed Majesty for her dead prince. To reach the sea now, one must travel to the stair to the sea, along the ice shelf of the Home Office. Entertain a request from the acting senior prompter. He's watching you from behind his desk and biting his lower lip. Clearly he has something on his mind. He does not look happy. So good you're here, Captain. He clasps your hand. His skin is cold. I've been issued an imperial pardon from London for one of our detainees here. He looks at the three nearest guests of the Home Office, who are following the conversation intently. Just the one, mind. Procedure demands that someone cannot be pardoned without an independent witness vouching for them. It would be highly inappropriate for me to do so. He gives you a beseeching look. If you would help, do speak to them, those three. Return to me when you've made your choice. Okay. Just throwing us in like that. But also, we can speak to the Prudent Observer, once a brilliant astronomer of the Royal Society, now consigned here in his dotage, who watches the gate. He smiles benignly and invites you to join him on the observation deck, on a veranda at the very top of the manor. It's reached via a makeshift elevator, a rickety wicker basket attached to a pulley. The ascent is slow, jerky, and uncomfortably intimate, but the Prudent Observer does share his humbugs. Out on the veranda, where the fog is thick, the Prudent Observer tells you of mysterious activity at the gate, of fires out burning on the statues, chanting when the wind is still. No one emerges from the gate anymore. No one who enters the gate from this side ever returns. We've exhausted these opportunities for now. Return in 15 days to see more. Well, maybe. Who knows if I'll be alive. So, about the Prompter's request. The three detainees singled out by the acting senior Prompter have taken over one of the interview rooms. The aristocrat is contorted like a contented cat over a rumpled armchair. The courtier sits on the windowsill, a cup of tea rattling in her hands. The nun occupies a stiff-backed chair and is reading something decidedly ungodly. You may interview the detainees and make your judgment at your leisure. You could, of course, make your decision without interviewing them. That will render your choice somewhat arbitrary. Perhaps that's in keeping with the Perhaps that's in keeping with the spirit of the place. Yes, good to know I'm not the only one who immediately thought, oh hey, bisexual was sitting. Let's interview the courtier first, because, you know, first on the list. Brilliant, magnetic, merciless, infuriating. Either her personality or her politics are kept on Her Majesty's list of undesirables. She shuts a small hand mirror as you approach. Greying. I had a lovely mane when I arrived here, red as June, they used to say. I was hoping to see the suns, but I suppose the palace hasn't forgotten. An MP I'm acquainted with and wants to absorb water onto the bridge, so we can get more information at the floating parliament. The aristocrat? He's draped listlessly over a faded chair, occasionally playing with his hair. Yeah, just queer code all over the place. He summons a dazzling smile as you approach. Oh, at last! My captain! May I call you my captain? He does not wait for a response. It's been a dreadful mix-up. I have a twin brother in London, you see. Terrible sort. Rather ruined my reputation with Her Majesty. Go to London to seek out this quote-unquote brother? And the nun? Surely she shouldn't be here. She lights another cigarette as you watch her. She looks down a cigarette at you and sighs. If I could have gone home by now, I would have. Nothing's worth this bloody waiting, pardon my imperial. I was going to stay in a convent in the mausoleum, but that's been buggered now. Actually, took me a second to work out what that second word was meant to be. Ah, good old Victorian censorship. So, we'll wait for now. Any shops? They're selling ours cheap. Sure, why not? About a couple of barrels. And they sell supplies and tea. Did I need more tea for something? Also, that's an amazing description. Dried tea, as British as crinoline or Lord Elgin's marbles. So, you know, not. See, now I have to go through all of my officers, because I'm sure somebody wanted tea. And I need to remember where everybody's going. The princess wants to go to Bajurans. The navigator wants to go to Eagles Empyrean in Alitheria. The clay conductor wants to go to the mausoleum. My aunt... Where does my aunt want to go? Carolyn? Yes, she wanted to go to a party on Carolyn. Mr. Apples wanted to go to Faith's Fall with a bunch of Bronzewood and some people in Kill. The Devil wants to go to Carolyn. Oh no, we went to Carolyn. We can debrief on Carolyn. Okay, I didn't realise that. And there's the Well of the Wolf and the Baroness in London, but we need much nicer souls for that. So about Carolyn. He is simmering with the desire to comment. If I were younger, remarks the repentant devil, I would take that place from its current ownership and turn it into a fitting demonstration of the refinements of the soul. I could even work with you if I turn your ribs to glass. And he's lost in a reverie, like a tailor seized with the vision of the ideal trousers for a particularly difficult client. When he recollects that you're still present, he adds, you may have noticed that they do not bother to prepare each soul to order. It's the real art, of course, match the soul to its judgment. Well, it's good that you have strong feelings. The Vagabond wanted to go somewhere. We literally just did this. The driver wants to go to Wobury Junction there and somewhere else to search for the fragment. The Rat Brigade... I'm just going to look at my journal. This is all written down. Oh, it doesn't tell me... It tells me where I have been. It doesn't tell me where to go. It's other places now. Princess wants to go to Bajurans. Rat Brigade wants to go to Bajurans. That's it. Navigator was Empyrean. Vagabond. Achlis. Clay Conductor Mausoleum. Oh yes, I've got a horological assignment in Carolyn. My aunt wants to go to Carolyn. Mr. Apple wants to go to Faith's Fall. Okay. Now, there was a platform. There's a platform listed just there. Let's see what that is, shall we? So the real answer is no, nobody wanted tea. Which, frankly, is the least English thing about this game. Because if there's one thing I can guarantee in basically any situation, it's that somebody wants tea. Not me. There will be somebody. Is this wise? Probably not. Oh, is this the stair to the sea? Okay, this should be interesting. Yeah. So I was wondering, they were talking about it and I couldn't actually get there, so actually leave and go there. A narrow ledge is lodged into the ice here. A stair, thin as a shaft of starlight, plunges into the mist below. This is the stairway down to the flotilla, a makeshift raft of broken and abandoned ships, home to the similarly broken and abandoned. All came to Abbot Horizon, but were forbidden for legal reasons from entering Albion. The nearby Home Office keeps them contained here. Left thus to their own devices, they form cults. You know, as one does. Let's board the flotilla. It's considered polite to bring an offering. Food or fuel is preferable, but anything that can be eaten or burned for warmth would suffice. And really, anything can if you're not a coward. Down to a sunless sea, see what they did there. The winds rattle the iron railings as though trying to throw you from the stair into the churning sea hundreds of feet below. You cleave hard to the block of ice, its chill on your cheek as you make the slow descent. Your fingers are thoroughly frozen by the time you reach the bottom and stand on the rusted iron platform that marks the beginning of the flotilla. The sea all around is shrouded in rolling mist. You can make out boats nearby bobbing forlornly in the freezing water. Some are roped together, others set apart. Lights speckle the water. Cultists still dwell in at least some of the old steamships. The platform is deathly silent, however. No one is here to greet you. Let's leave an offering. The sea is peopled with the forgotten and the abandoned. It's customary to leave an offering at the flotilla. For help, for hope, for home. Perhaps someone will come to collect it. At the height of its powers, the Home Office processed tens of thousands of petitioners seeking entry to Albion. Some were rejected, or left to seek appeals or help from Albion, caught in limbo between the office and the gate. Here, at the edge of the horizon, in the shadow of the winged statues, detainees leave offerings, prayers and messages to the world left behind, supplications to the cultists that dwell on the quiet sea. So, we can offer food, fuel, a body, or gold. 100 sovereigns. I mean, we're not super high on supplies or food, and they don't have a shop here. Supplies or fuel, even. And these are all different cults we can join, it looks like. Well, let's throw some gold. We have gold. A long silence. A distant splash. Do you feel better? Yeah. Why did I do that? Why would they care about gold? Think this through. Let's leave some fuel. Your stokers glare mutiny, but they comply. Coke is brought from your boilers, ground, and sprinkled into the water. It sifts through your fingers like grains of falling sand. There is no land here, no light. But there's a voice in the mist. A figure in a hooded cloak steps out of the mists. Now I need to work out what it sounds like. Your sacrifice was most perspicient. I love this not guy. The man lowers his hood to reveal... Oh, okay. No, sorry. It said hooded cloak and then the word perspicient, and I assumed we were talking about Mr. Pages. But apparently not. The man lowers his hood to reveal a scarred, ruddy face. His eyes twinkle like falling suns. We've been watching from the flotilla. We all agree your offering was worthy. Worthy to seek the names of the saints with us. If you wanted to learn a truth at the gate, that is. He produces a battered flask from his cloak. I've taken the liberty of bringing the unguent, should you wish to join us. Well, let's ask about the cult of the sanctified. We are but humble acolytes of the saints. They came among us long ago, before we departed from the skies in our folly. Most abandoned them, but we pray to let them know that not all have forgotten their names. The jolly anchorite sighs, gazing out on the mists. Perhaps they'll even rejoin us, if not learn their names and recite them here at the gate. And I've basically just turned him into witness, haven't I? Why do all cultists sound like this? Alright, let's join the cult. First you must learn words and stuff your mouth full of them. They shall prepare you to know the names. I anoint your head with chrism and press my thumb to your lips, for you are hungry for sacred flesh. You briefly taste dead skin and salt. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was made writing. The Lord said, go forth and multiply. Sin flourishes in silence, but is washed away by the multiplication of words. Open. Wider, please. Parchment is stuffed into your mouth. The jolly anchorite beams. Not too hard, was it? You have learnt the first name and met our saint of inks. Our brethren are just this way. Alright. Calm down, UNESCO. Here, among abandoned boats on the quiet sea, the similarly abandoned and forgotten of Albion have made their homes. The cults share this space for warmth and for shelter. Yes, we already have a cult, this is true. So, but you know, why not join a bunch of cults? Because, you know. Some boats are covered, others converted into makeshift anchorages, refectories, and cells. Hopeful acolytes flock to one ecstatic figure or another, raving about this doctrine or that. Your new friends are one cult among three. The sanctified, the loose collection of souls who follow the jolly anchorite, are communal, fraternal, jovial. The supralapsarians, who follow the illuminating archivist, do everything by their book, when they can agree upon the interpretation. The displeased treat distrust as a virtue and betrayal as a sacrament. Okay, from the descriptions of all three of those, they feel like... Because I was thinking when he was doing the whole thing about learning the names of the saints and putting things in your mouth, that it would be the same kind of religion as you get at the Chapel of Lights in Sunless Sea, where the priests are cannibals and are following Mr. Eaton, which is a whole story. And all three of these sound like different aspects of that. Between the Seven Saints and the everything being done by their scripture and betrayal being at the core of Mr. Eaton's whole storyline. Interesting. A woman is lying on a wheel that sits atop a pole that rises over the flotilla. She does not speak, but only watches the gate. So, hi. Her wheel is accessible by a flimsy rope ladder rising up through the mists. She's rarely disturbed by the other acolytes, though. They watch her intently. The woman lies on the wheel, her eyes on the looming shadows of the gate. She does not bother to look your way as you reach the top of the ladder. Rotting fruits, dried flowers, and tarnished nameplates lie ignored at the edge of the wheel. Hi. Lose your mind. Join a cult. Which is, again, a callback to Sunless Sea, where one of the main taglines was, lose your mind, eat your crew, die. Which, and there is a bit where if you go to King Eater's Castle, which is one of the furthest places to get to from London in there, where everything is horrible and it's just a whole monument to sacrifice, and the three interaction texts you have of rituals you can perform there are lose your mind, eat your crew, and die. And you do those things. She rolls back her head to gaze at you. Her mouth twitches downward. A hand lolls listlessly in your direction. I do not sense the hunger of the true ascetic in you. Where the name? The knife? Where the book? Be gone and waste not my time. Her eyes roll back. Return when you have learned something. One of the cults claims you as their own full initiate. Then I might be interested in speaking to you. Alright. We can do that, we can join a cult. Where will you lay your head at night? Every acolyte has a favoured spot in the flotilla to take their kit. The politics of one's sleeping arrangements are complicated here. Because you were selected by one of the leaders of the mystics to uncover their sacred mysteries, you may sleep wherever you like. Everyone's eager to see what you choose. There isn't much to do here. So, we have a cosy berth near an open hearth, wine and candles, shared warmth, trade stories. You are strengthened by community. A crow's nest, you are strengthened by solitude, or whatever others are doing, you are strengthened by tradition. Community is good. A member of the Sanctified invites you to join them. Their berth is small, like a coffin covered in blankets. The evening passes in clouds of smoke, so that all of your clothes reek of the bonfire. You wake a good deal more familiar with some of your fellow acolytes than you had before. We have pleased the Sanctified. Well, let's speak with the Jolly Anchorite. Anchorite. He approached you to initiate you into his following. has even more mysteries for you to uncover. The jolly anchorite has made his home in a huge shell dredged from the depths of the sea. He roars as you approach. Come to receive more learning. If you wish to know our mysteries, you must learn the names of the saints. As you progress in our rituals, the names shall be revealed to you. He claps you heartily on the back. Very few know all the names. I myself have lost some of them. So the next step will be 2 supplies and 2 fuel. And we need to make the Sanctified more happy with us. Well, let's sing. On rising, there is singing, a psalm of morning chorus, brothers, a lament, lungs swell. We sing of the place we left behind, of loss, or of life. Of life. There is stamping, there is roaring, there is chanting, chests are pounded and throats bellow. You sing of consumption, of having, of being, of sharing and being shared. Which, frankly, feels like the kind of song you need out here. Okay, so, like, whatever we do, all we're doing is getting more embraced by the Sanctified, and the ultimate aim of that will be to give them fuel and supplies, which we can't really spare at the minute, so I'm going to leave. You may not be able to return for some time, you will lose all of your embrace qualities, that's fine, I can run that when we get back. But your initiate status will not be changed, that's fine. You leave the flotilla, emerging back onto the ice and silence of the quiet sea. A few acolytes watch you leave. Perhaps someone waves. And then the winds drown all sound, and the flotilla is behind you. Perhaps you'll return. We can approach the gate. That sounds worrying. But we have a good chance of doing something. Once thousands spilled through from the world you left behind. Now it's half submerged, and there have been no newcomers in more than a year. Your crew plead with you to stay. I'm just going to go and check it out. Success, see? The air is still and frigid. Your teeth chatter. Ice floes drift by in the mists. The gate is far from the flotilla. Your breath freezes in the air. A little craft loosely moored to the rest appears serviceable. Oars nest in the berth. You cut the rope and jump in, pushing out into the mist. The gate rises like a sepulchre. Its statues, twin cowled figures, raise their wings in an arch. The gate between the statues is Gant, the colour that remains when all other colours are devoured. It's sealed sarcophagus tight. When you touch it, it sears your fingers with the bitterest cold. It will not open for you. This is the end of the sky. Go no further. Oh, we only got one story out of it and a bunch of terror, but that was cool. So there's that. Okay, we're good. Let's leave. That was exciting and only, you know, I was about to say only mildly existentially terrifying, but no, majorly. Okay, well let's just kind of curve north, because we should really head back to London, where things are safer and they sell fuel. But I also want to keep exploring, because of course I do. And I'll probably get sidetracked and end up running away from something like that fluke. Oh god, it's noticed me. Running away from the fluke and its correspondence balls. I do not approve. Stop shooting correspondence fireworks at me. My scout has found a bunch of things, none of them particularly interesting. There's another fluke, oh god. And are those tentacles reaching through the mist? I don't like this place very much. You know when I said Albion was cool because it had all the kind of depth of field and the industry and everything, and we weren't just driving through endless mist inhabited by sea urchin monsters? And now there's a wall, and we're running out of fuel. This is actually very bad. Well, there's something up ahead. Mistakes were made, don't know what you mean, this is all perfectly according to plan. See, I'm going to pick up these crates, it'll be fuel. It's fuel, see? Perfect. And now there's an opening in the wall so we can keep heading north. Why would anyone ever question my judgment and ability to plan? It's perfect. Everything exactly what it needed to be. There's something. Undeserved indeed, we have a brand. There's a Starman Explorer, there's an Empire Dreadnought fighting a Marauder, which I'm just going to keep out of the way of. Scout any stations around here? Yes, just north of me. In fact, the other side of this building. And there's more crates here, and this is going to be fuel as well. Okay, it wasn't fuel, it was crockery, but in a way, that equates to fuel on account of we can sell it for money, money buys fuel, goods and services. Done. And there's the platform. And it's the mausoleum. See, a few people wanted to go to the mausoleum. Perfect. Perfect. Slightly drove into a wall, but it's all good. The nave, the soaring, sepulchral heart of the most serene mausoleum. Constructed over the cooling embers of Albion's murdered sun, the mausoleum was built to house London's most glorious dead. Kensington Station is tucked into a side chapel. An elderly footman is lighting candles while waiting to guide visitors into the mausoleum proper. HDAC rating for, if that's how you pronounce it, who can say? Probably not me, but you. Has rated you with party mate. Thank you very much. Welcome everybody. We just managed to not die, which was exciting. We keep doing that, and it's always a surprise. Let me escort inside. The footman watches you alight from your engine. He coughs meaningfully. Lighting a fresh taper, which he carries in a silver holder, the footman leads you through a narrow arch and down a winding spiral stair. You can hear weeping close by, but the echoes make it hard to discern the source. Soon after, you hear a sharp burst of laughter and music. Occasionally, you can make out the rumble of what the footman confirms to be the London Necropolis Railroad far below. Why don't we have one of those in real life? Like, I don't care where it goes and that we don't have a necropolis to connect London to. It's just a really cool name. At the very bottom is an oak-panelled door. The footman unlocks the door, bows, and departs. The footman disappears into the gloom, leaving you alone, facing a desk shaped like a baptismal font. A cheery registrar sits in the middle, waiting to greet you. Well, let's introduce ourselves. You know, gotta follow protocol, be good, be nice. She has you fill out a form indicating your profession, age, usage of hours, and to confirm your legal status as alive. Oh yes, the Necropolis Railroad was a thing in real life, wasn't it? That's the kind of obscure Victorian history I should usually remember. Good catch, thank you. But my point stands, why don't we have one now? Don't care where it goes, doesn't have to connect to Necropolis, doesn't have to connect to London. It's just a good name. And if not, I have to get into drag and take the name London Necropolis. Because that would be amazing. That's drag name par excellence right there. Just staking my claim to it. The Prince Consort's tomb is exceedingly popular. To prevent congestion, donations are requested. The greater the donation, the longer you will be allowed to gaze upon the sepulchre. If one's fortunate enough to garner the attention of one of the deathless, one must be respectful and only speak when spoken to. It does not do for the living to linger long among the dead. She files away your form into an excessively large black cabinet. So my aunt wanted to comment here, but we're going to keep her around while we do her quest. The clay conductor wanted to come here and look for a singing partner. Well, first of all, I'm going to write a book report. The most serene mausoleum is, if not the heart of her renewed majesty's domain, then at least its pulmonary valve. The most serene mausoleum endures. Catacombs grow as the necropolis line brings more bodies for burial. Traders bring fresh hours into the mausoleum. Endowments from the Empress and the Deathless turn in their vaults. Plans are in motion to add a new chapel to the nave, while the Deathless petition for a new separate station for the exclusive use of their servants. Death has never been so much in motion. But let's find a Clayman. The most serene mausoleum is full of mourners, tourists, and aristocrats seeking to reconcile themselves with death one way or the other. The Claymen are conspicuous in their absence. The Clay conductor lumbers gloomily among the mourners, searching fruitlessly for someone who resembles himself. Eventually, the cheery registrar appears. "I'm sorry," she tells you. "Your friend is making people miserable." You explain your situation, and she relents. After a brief consideration of those interred in the mausoleum, she suggests that you seek an audience with the engraved mourner, a man of polished marble. He's one of the Deathless. You'll need to gain favour of the Deathless to meet him in the mausoleum before you can arrange an audience with the engraved mourner. That's fine. You can do that. By the way, do they have a shop here? They are selling ministry-approved literature, but more importantly, fuel and supplies. Just because otherwise I'll end up forgetting and driving off without them. Yes, the nun we were considering pardoning in the Avid Horizon was on her way here. Perhaps her sisters might be able to shed some light on her predicament. The convent is located in a sepulchral annex of the mausoleum, just off the nave. Red candles light the way through the gloomy hallways to the entrance. Oh, no, look, I can't plan for the undeserved lucky crates. If I plan for them, then that goes against all my brand of hubris. Never plan, always forward, and then Providence will provide, or it won't, or you'll die. It's ostensibly for the good of the souls of those sequestered in the mausoleum and patronized by the luminous cardinal. You can't help but note the decor is very martial. So we've got warrior nuns again. You'll remember those from Fall Space. A furious prioress is on hand to answer your questions. Yes, we know her. No, we did not ask her to join us. She frowns. And even if we had, which I'm not saying we have, diplomatically we can never be seen to have officially vouched for her. Do you understand? Not really. But yes, it's diplomatic issues. We get that. Contemplate the dead sun. There's an action we'd never really given a chance to do in life, I feel. The corpse of Albion's old son is visible from the great rose-coloured window. Smoke still rises from the sun's smouldering core. The wound that slew it is clearly visible, a great rent torn in one side. Star stuff, long since cooled the colour of coal, spills into the sky. Yeah, remember the bit where I said the stars are living beings in this? Well, that means we can kill them as well. In the good old-fashioned way, with the stabbing. When Her Majesty entered Albion, she slew the sun with an experimental weapon, an unclear bomb. That's amazing. I love that. Why have I never thought of that? Unclear. That's top-notch. Then she claimed the sun's throne and dominion, leaving the remains here as a clear message. Not even the suns are above the Empire's reach. Let's approach the Deathless, and her and New Majesty's most highly favoured courtiers prefer the upper climes of the nave, away from excitable members of the public. The most serene mausoleum houses more than just the Prince Consort. Under its soaring spires, the Empress keeps her most favoured courtiers. Those lucky few are provided with every luxury they might wish and a generous stipend of hours. The only condition of this bounty is that they are dead. A legality only. They cannot possess property nor hold political office as a result. They are the Deathless. Occasionally they deign to appear to visitors. Right, so there's only one we can talk to before we actually have favour, so let's work on that. Speak with the macabre counsellor. She's a former lady of the bedchamber and governess to at least some of her renewed Majesty's children. Mortality is a preoccupation of hers. and we successfully talk. The counsellor advances through the nave like an old spider trespassing on a rival's web. Her dark eyes daunt and her fingers curl and twitch. She notices your gaze and approaches lazily. A footman moves to intercept, but she holds up a hand. He pales, retreats. She begins by quoting Keats at you, Ode to a Nightingale. She surmises you've encountered death in the skies, known its easeful touch on your cheek. She proceeds thusly for some minutes, lingering on each crewman fall and each cold burial in the dark. And then she smiles suddenly, and bids you a pleasant day. Got favour, got terror. And now we can talk to the engraved mourner. A man of alabaster and marble, cold and ancient as an antique statue. Might he have an interest in the clay choirs? The engraved mourner consents to a meeting in his many-pillared chambers. You sit on couches of blue stone and drink wine in ivory cups. The conductor hunches, his form far heavier than the furniture can support, while the mourner reclines elegantly upon his divan. After polite introductions, the conductor demands, "Why do you look different?" The mourner smiles. "I was built for a purpose, to guide, to shepherd, to travel. It was deemed I should be pleasing to the eye and ear. Now, you want to hear me sing." His singing is somber, cold, and sad. The clay conductor shakes his head. "No good. Too much like the sky." You make your excuses. "We have lost favour, gained experience. So we can donate literature to get favour. And there's a bunch we could potentially do. We don't need this literature for anything in particular, and we've got it by accident. The cheery registrar smiles as you make your intent clear. There are forms to be filled out, endless, and interminable questions as to how you wish your donation to be remembered, plaque or bench. But eventually the transaction is made. And wouldn't you know it, a member of the Deathless has just become available should you wish some of their time. The Luminous Cardinal. He is the papal legate to the High Wilderness and Her Renewed Majesty's favourite Catholic. Oh no. The Cardinal stalks through the sepulchral vaults of the mausoleum, his bright vestments trailing on the flagstones. He notices your gaze and approaches. The Luminous Cardinal ignores your introduction and launches into a sermon on the new kingdom of heaven. To whom did Christ entrust the kingdom of God but his own mother, who now reigns on the throne of heaven, but a woman, a mother, and a queen? This is the third and last age. We shall have a queendom whose boundaries are as limitless as the mysteries of the Godhead. Just as soon as she converts. He turns away, having forgotten you entirely. Cool, 15 terror, no favour. Let's not do that again for now. Charity Lady gifting a sub to Black Filtration. Welcome both of you, and thank you so much. Anything more? We can look at the Prince Consort's memorial. The most serene mausoleum was built to commemorate Her Renewed Majesty's dead love. His tomb is at the heart of the mausoleum. The vaults, chapels, borders, and courtiers, all arteries and capillaries to his memory. To visit the tomb, one must speak to the cheery registrar. Okay, so we can give donations to reduce terror. Now, I have a bunch of uncanny specimens that I could spend, because I got too much terror talking with the Deathless. The cheery registrar will accept diverse meats in lieu of monetary donations. It's customary to leave offerings at the tomb, which are cleared away the next day. The cheery registrar gives you a vibrant smile. Your specimens are placed in a safe under the registrar's desk, which is swiftly locked. The smile never falters. You are led to the chapel where the Prince Consort is housed. Crowds throng around the tomb, leaning over the sturdy iron railings for a better look. You are directed to a balcony up a small spiral stair. From your elevated position above the crowds, you can make out the serene features of the Prince's effigy, gazing up from his tomb as though at the stars. You can also make out a little door just behind the tomb, locked and barred. Because people tend not to properly die in this universe. Anything else to do here? We could bury one of our crew, but why? Okay, so I'm going to say perhaps not, and close this, and pause, because I have been talking for quite some time, and I think it's time to have a break. Gonna go and hydrate and stretch my legs, and run some ads, because Twitch. I recommend all of you do the same, except for the ads part. You don't have to just shout brand names into the ether. In fact, I would go so far as to recommend you don't do that. Anyway, but I am, so I will be back in about 10 minutes. Love you all, see you in a few. And I'm back. Hello everyone. Shall we continue to do whatever the hell we were doing, where we bumble blindly through the endless wilderness of space and don't die? Okay, there's some marauders over there, so I'm definitely not going in that direction. I think we're still going to try and head largely northward. Because, you know, we must go north, we hunger so. But also because fun. Getting those deep references in. So is this just the necropolis now? Kinda looks like it. There's a marauder. They went that way, so let's go this way. Beginning to think I may not reach London in this direction. Thought there was something swimming past, but no, it was just the cogs under there. What is that noise? It's very loud and I dislike it. I have no idea what it is. It's not pleasant in my ears. And I would love it to stop immediately. Everything's very pink around here all of a sudden. Let's throw an owl into the air. Disclaimer, for legal reasons this channel does not officially endorse throwing owls. I mean, they'd probably ultimately be okay with it on account of their birds. But maybe just leave the owls alone and don't bother them. Oh my god, we've actually made it back to London. And I'm not even slightly dead. And there's a ministry ship that I don't want to tangle with, but is heading straight for me for some reason. Learn to steer, ministry. Around this next building. And here we are. Back at some dominance. And exhale. I was about to say it didn't get lost in space, but I mean we did. But yeah, but then we became unlost. So hey, as long as it doesn't stick, it's all good. I'll take that one for the clockwork sound, just because. What do I have on board? Oh yeah, I got some munitions, I got some crockery, I don't want any of those, I got some tea. Bronze wooden hours I will need for other things, so I'll keep them around. But that clears up some hold space so we can fully stock up again. So that's good. If we go to the Steam and Sapphire yards, we can go and give our port reports to the Revolution. The bookkeeper reads the reports swiftly, makes a few notations, then files them deeply in his haystack of financial records beyond the attention of even the most persistent ministry auditor. Thanking you silently, he conveys that you're doing important work. Okay. We do need repairs. And anything back in Maine and London? Maine and... Ah, yes, find the listless aristocrat's brother. The aristocrat suck at the Avid Horizon mentioned a brother responsible for his predicament. It takes some time to track down someone resembling the aristocrat. The sooty slums are empty of any form of nobility. The grand houses close their doors to you. It's as if London would prefer all detainees of the Avid Horizon to remain there. God, imagine that, eh? You've all been given up when you receive a note to beating the crown jewel. A distinguished gentleman sits by the fire, his porcelain features a flawless mirror of his brother's. He intimates a litany of unsavory habits and hobbies possessed by his younger sibling. Calumny in the nursery, scandal in boarding school, horror in the young stags club. He would very much prefer it if his brother were to stay where he was. Okay, so the nun is a possible diplomatic incident. The aristocrat is just your classic rake. Let's wander the streets and see what happens. We've seen that. Okay, so nothing particularly interesting here. No, it's not worth it to buy one crew at the minute. Let's head out, because it said the Clockwork Sun is to the west-southwest of Albion, and I want to find it. No particular reason, I just like setting arbitrary goals. Because how else are we going to learn and explore and make bad decisions? And sometimes you just want to see the sun, the sun, the sun, the sun, the sun, the sun, the sun. Again, tons of references here that probably make no sense if you don't know the previous games. But here we are. Any building. Sending the owl out in case, found something. There's like a wreck or something. Oh yeah, it's just that bullet acre again. That's fine. That is a wall. We go around the wall. We stop paying attention and almost run into the wall. Music happens, which, as I say, usually a good sign that you're near something interesting. There's the ministry ship. This is all foreground stuff. Not foreground, background, the opposite of that. Thank you, ministry ship, for flying over it and making you aware of that fact. Also, did I say sailing there? No, driving. They're still not ships. They're trains. Locomotives. Skyfaring locomotives in the high wilderness is what they are. And here there's a big rock in the way. As is so often the case in our lives. Thought that was background, it's not. Ah! Thank you, pop-up saying we're near the Clockwork Sun. This is something interesting. environments in this are so rad, except Hybris, which can die in a fire. God. All crystals everywhere. And over here... well, there's a Starmad Explorer of some kind that I'm not tangled with. Some of these are background and some of them are foreground. And this threatens me. At least I think they are, but here's the Clockwork Sun. And it's really rad. Sunspur. The dock is rarely used and its maintenance has lapsed. There's evidence of rust and metal strain, but only of non-crucial components. It's safe to stop for now. Once inside the dock, the sun's scouring light is diminished. An outpost on the roaring edge of the sun, shielded from malevolent light by an eggshell of stained glass. As you emerge from your train, suit-swaddled engineers gather, plainly astonished by your arrival. They bombard you with complex questions about how you dealt with dense sunlight and skewed chronosolar fields. Well, what I did was I drove forward and never turned back and struck out into the unknown, and it all turned out well. Deal with that, science. Once satisfied, they hand out protective suits to you and your crew. Yours is patched and torn, one boot missing. An engineer sprays you with a substance that smells like lemons gone wrong and searches your pockets, a cursory effort at best. You seem distracted. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. Okay. I clicked perhaps not, rather than onward. Sunlight seeps like syrup through cracks in the stained glass ceiling. The floor shudders in time with the churning machinery far beneath your feet. The air has a tang of chemicals, bonfires and rain. Pistons pump, cogs turn, and suit-swaddled figures tend to the enginery. Yeah, that's a word that makes sense, but broke my brain for a second. Bellowing over the shrieking metal. Let's write a court report. The Clockwork Sun is the preeminent symbol of the Empire's heavenly dominion. The newspapers in London call it enduring, everlasting, eternal. In response to your questions, the engineers shrug. The day dawns, the sun brightens. Night comes, the sun dims. What more is there to say? Some of them seem so exhausted they can barely stand. They insist it's proximity to the sun that affects their sleep. Have one yearning burning, which is a quality you get in all three of the games so far, where you start interacting with actual sunlight, and it rarely turns out well for you, actual or artificial. There's a few different places we can go. Head toward the sundial shaped-building. It'll be the Sequencer's new favourite project, one of the engineers tell you. We'll keep him out of our hair for a while. Azimuth is an enormous sundial without shadow, its roof topped by a golden shark fin gnomon. There are still racks of yellowed pamphlets on the walls. It once served as a kiosk, selling tickets to sunspotters, pilgrims and tourists that were expected to flock here. These days, it's more like a temple. Frescoes on the curved walls depict the triumph of the new sun over the old. A figure in a yellow-collared protective suit is delivering a sing-song sermon to mostly empty pews. The dazzled Sequencer looks up, delighted at your approach, and hurriedly rubs up his speech. He offers you tea with a flash of 2 white teeth. So, what are you doing here? I'm a priest of the new sequence, declares the Sequencer. The brightest truth, the wildfire that has swept Albion. He points out to the expanse of the sun. There burns a beacon, a saviour, an aspect of God. We venerate the Clockwork Sun and its immortal architect, our Empress. I'm here to greet pilgrims and safeguard the souls of our engineers. Azimuth is also the only access route to the sun-shattered dome, an exhibition hall that was built back when we received more visitors. The dome is terribly dangerous, and I advise you to avoid it, no matter how much you hear about the priceless artifacts inside. Well, I hadn't heard anything about them until you just told me. So we can request access. We need crew and low terror. Do you think it might cause us to get more terror and lose crew? Well, let's find out. The sequencer obviously takes his role as gatekeeper seriously. He fusses around you, checking you and your crew's gear, tucking on straps, checking for rips, wiping your stained glass goggles with a silk handkerchief. All the while, he spouts an endless stream of warnings. Don't enter the Shalimar, never travel in a group of 3 or fewer, and resist the urge to sing, no matter how fiercely your throat burns. And for sequence's sake, watch the condition of your suit. With that, he pats you on the back, hands you a brochure, and sends you through the heavy iron door to the dome. Well, is this where we die? Exhibition halls built to accommodate sun-spotted tourists and sequence pilgrims, and abandoned after the dangers of the sun became impossible to hide. Priceless paintings hang in bleached rags. Magnificent relics have been left to accumulate glittering glass dust. Is anything still intact? The stained glass sky has collapsed. An unfiltered sunlight gnaws savagely at your hazard suit. It's currently undamaged, though a little shabby. Soon you stumble upon a gleaming forest of glass sculptures. As you get closer, you realize they were once tourists, from back when the exhibition was still open to the public. What were they clustered around? 36% chance of picking my way through there. Yeah! Well, the mass of vitrified tourists are arranged in a circle. Whatever lies in the center, it must be worth a good walk. In the bulky hazard suit, it's a nightmare to try and duck and weave your way through the statues. A lady's jaunty elbow leaves a long rent down the side of your hazard suit. You catch your glove on a child's sharpened nose and it's torn from your hand. You're forced to retreat to your pursuit, much the worse for wear. So the state of my suit has gone down from 4 to 2. I'm leaving! That happened. Anyway, the sequencer has a request. Together we can help less fortunate, he says. You will be compensated for your time. There are many poor souls out there in need of our help, beleaguered, ignorant masses. I've never met them, but I am assured they exist. He pauses to wipe his eyes. When we lift them from their contemptible state, perhaps they will come to appreciate the greatness of the sequence. He sends an orderly to fetch a crate. Once it's set down before him, he wraps the lid proudly. 600 manuals on how to correctly tie a bow tie. Deliver these scraps on work world, and I'm sure they will be immensely benefited by their improved understanding of etiquette. That's not how any of this works. One well-intentioned package. Let's leave. That all happened. But there's the glass house as well. There's a dozen signs warning you to stay away, each more insistent than the last. The engineers shout, but they're too busy to stop you. Staying away is not a thing we do in this channel. An isolated section of the abandoned exhibition halls has been repurposed to hold not treasures, but prisoners. Each wears a grey smock rather than a protective suit, leaving them utterly undefended from the ravages of sunlight. They sit slumped in unlocked cells, making no effort to escape. Where would they go? Some of the prisoners are shining at the seams. Some have eyes of curved glass. A fractured face turns to watch you. A few are singing in praise of the sun, mouths bloody and throats tattered. You should perhaps be horrified, but the song wraps tender cords around your mind and numbs you. Glass crunches underfoot. When you lift your boot, you discover a cracked ear beneath. 53% chance of being able to talk with them? Yeah, sure. They either scream or sing. You may not get anything halfway lucid from them. Yeah! You root out one of the newer prisoners, a woman whose mind isn't entirely fractured. Her eyes are shining gold, her fingertips pearlescent. With a calm manner and firm words, you momentarily manage to stop her singing. With a newly focused gaze, she tells you what she's seen. Men shattered, men unmade. It hates us, she says, staring at her glass-tipped fingers. This is what happens when you decide to kill a god and replace it with a machine. Don't build machine gods is really your moral here. Approach the half glass empty. Which I didn't get until I said it out loud. Wow, we are just sneaking all the A+ wordplay into this one. Only one cell is locked, and the man within is neither singing nor screaming. The left half of his body is shimmering, translucent. Only the flesh and muscle of his left half is vitrified, not bones and blood within. The glass is suffused with 1,000 fine, frozen capillaries like delicate red cracks running through ice. He fixes you with an anguished stare. Get me out of here! Why is this the only cell locked? This was an exhibition hall once, never a prison. An engineer must have had to install those bars especially for him. The others would not leave even if they could. Their minds are lost. The empty attempts a one-sided shrug. And, well, the Empire sent me here because I was smuggling sunlight from beneath back before the horizon closed. When I sold it, I told my customers that the light from the clockwork sun was toxic. True sunlight was the only cure. It ended up causing a minor panic in London. I think one of the engineers locked me in because he took offense at my criticism. Though, he gestures at his vitrified body. I stand by it. Yeah, we'll help you escape, because really, you can't show me a prison and not expect me to break it. Barely perceptible nod. The glass in his neck creaks. Thank you. His voice is hoarse, and he speaks in barely a whisper. You need to find a permit for my release and present it to the steward. Forged, legitimate, I don't care. 3 ministry-approved permits? 3? That's a lot. Okay, well, I'll get on it. Sent to the Terpsichore vault. The vaults below are safer, protected by a dozen layers of stained glass. Beneath the machine-bristling surface, you find a ring of 9 vault doors, each engraved with the name of a classical muse. 8 are locked and barred behind signs saying things like vacant or under renovation, or in one case, unfortunate chronological discrepancies. The 9th, marked Terpsichore, is the only door open to you. When you enter, your footsteps ring through dusty barracks and abandoned canteens. These are the engineers' quarters, but they're all on the surface working. Except one. The broken steward has been working on the sun since before it first shone. She's been here far, far longer than any of the engineers have. The broken steward makes her way carefully towards the cane clacking on the floor. She has a markedly stiff-limbed gait, and her arms creak as she removes her helmet. Let's speak with her. She smiles, her teeth glint oddly. She catches you glancing at her mouth and smiles even wider. Her teeth are shards of cracked glass protruding at odd angles from her gums. It's not just the teeth, she says with a brusque air that brooks no sympathy. Damn son, turn my bones as well. Terrible nuisance, really, it gets in the way of work. You notice her fixed neck, her stiff limbs, her careful movements. It's not too bad, she says. Good thing I like soup. Well, this is all horrifying. As you were, do you have a shop here? Did I bring any literature? No. You sell fuel but not supplies, that makes a certain amount of sense. You also sell stained glass, that makes even more sense. Cool, now let's be not here. Because it counts as a horror, your terror will constantly be going up here. Let us continue to explore. Because there's a few places we still need to find in Albion, still need to find Endurance and Wilbury. I mean, there's tons of space in Albion. And then we just do the traditional accidentally fire a shotgun into the air. Just space littered with glass shards. It's really cool. And also horrifying when you actually think about it. But here's somewhere I can't investigate because I don't have assay. Ow! Does your ally see? Not a damn thing. Yeah, I still need to find Parliament as well. I should probably, once I've got around this, head back north to London and then maybe go north and east out of that, so south and west. Especially because we'll be running into fluke territory again around here, and I do not want this. I mean, eventually we'll need to go back to the Reach to do a bunch of stuff, but for now I want to keep exploring Albion. Get the lay of the Notland. Looks like a horror over there, what with the general red tint of everything. And I've played Control, I know what ambient red lighting means. And it's nothing good. Only enhanced by the incredibly threatening music. Ah, but that background is like here. That's the background you're flying through on the title screen, isn't it? Anyway, don't get distracted by the background and laser right into a building. Is this dead end? Can I get around to the left? Edging closer to the sun again, which I don't love. I'm already committed to buying a bunch of supplies when I get back to London, so I'm happy sending the owl out. Some treasure this way, if I can actually get it. Still background right? Yeah, it is. Oh, it's right there. I was about to be like, where is this treasure I was promised? So naturally I was right next to it. I got some more supplies, so that pays for the owl, I guess. Two more things. Nothing good. And everything would mean going further towards the sun, which I don't want. This way puts us on the path back to London, so what if instead we go north here? This is the part of the game where we fuck around and find out. There's the Star Map Explorer. Not great. Okay, that could have gone worse. Could have gone better, but mostly worse. And we can repair most of our hull, so you know that. In conclusion, that all happened. Very little was gained by anyone, but now someone is dead. If that's a moral we want to take here. Ooh, a station. To the northwest. Once I can get around this rock, which I'm reasonably sure is foreground. Never entirely sure, because my eyes do not work that well. Really hope there's a way around this way. Otherwise I'm just steaming blindly to nowhere, and now that I say it out loud, I do that all the time, don't I? Whoa, the narrows. Okay, this is background. I get the feeling one of those rocks I just dodged was also background. It is, like I say, I find it hard to tell sometimes. There does not seem to be a way around, does there? Ha! As soon as I say that, the way's revealed. Sometimes all you need to do is lose faith. Cliffs of the Orms Wold. Or however you would pronounce that in conversation with British English. Because even those of us who actually speak British English, it's never that easy to tell how place names will be pronounced. Here's a steam wheel. I think Streamlabs says we're back. Somebody in chat tell me if we're back. I think we're back. My Streamlabs is having a day. Okay, I can get in. I can use the chat. Stream preview says we're live, but also that I have no viewers. Viewers, let me know if you exist. I will take a moment to drink some water. Okay, the viewers number exists now. Hello, am I live? Yes, I'm live. Hooray. Hello, everyone. Okay, hello. I think we didn't lose much progress. We just, I've just docked here at what is apparently the Royal Society, which has a bunch of places in it. So here we are. Pretty mansions of stone and glass rise above the verdant gardens, while below machines whir and groan. A persistent sound of hammering pounds through the air. Mr. Menagerie is here. Well, let's go and get a story, if nothing else. I could buy a bat, but I have one of. I could buy a Starsmith bat. I mean, I've got plenty of secrets and visions. Why not? Mr. Menagerie runs its gloved hand along its shoulder, attempting to encourage the bat to climb on. Eventually, Mr. Menagerie is forced to perform an undignified shimmy to roll the bat onto its hand. As the bat is passed to you, it looks into your face and squeaks. Its pupils shine like cut tourmaline. You're forced to break your gaze after a moment or two. Its eyes are uncomfortably bright. Mr. Menagerie begins to gather up its things in preparation for the next leg of its journey. So we can't get a story. Boo. The Celestial Exhibition. To the delight of mostly himself, the mellifluous president is planning an exhibition in the Royal Society. Its theme will be the science of the skies. He's happy to pay visiting captains for items of interest they might come across. Okay, so we can donate specimens, artifacts, condemned experiments, searing enigmas. How am I doing for XP? I've still got like 2,000. If I was close to a level, I might have donated some stuff, but that's fine. The Royal Society, the words nullius in verba are written across the stonework above the great bronze wood doors. Her renewed majesty has granted these grounds to the finest minds in Albion to work here. Their purview is to invent, to hypothesize, to discover, and, most crucially, to watch the stars. Let's go introduce ourselves. The mellifluous president greets you. He directs your attention to the new marble on the floors, to the cheerful portraits of distinguished Royal Society members lining the hallway, and finally to the very large portrait of himself in his plush library. We do like captains here at the Royal S. We need our space, frankly our comforts, to think. But it is you brave souls who do the real legwork. Extremely educational. If not, our gardens are extremely fine, as is our conversation, and the port. Wandering the garden sounds like it will go badly, but we can write a port report. The Royal Society hums with activity. The preparations for a new wing of Airy House are in motion. The mellifluous president is convening another committee to continue the renovations of these gardens. The astronomers are excited about a star of burnished amber seen far to the east. The Rochester Club, regrettably, continues at high speeds. So, about this work for industrious skyfarers thing. Hello, Captain. Do come in. Come in. The mellifluous president steeples his fingers. On his desk, metal suns suspended from silver frames clank in the breeze. Now, are you here about work, or do you consider the term vulgar as well? I send reports back to London periodically, but we can't be everywhere. So much to do, so little time. Places of particular solar activity will do nicely. So, 4 Sky Stories will buy an invitation to Perdurance. We've got a few people who want to go there, so probably be decent hanging on to it. Good lord, really? Well, well. He hands over one of the invitations. The card is elegantly embossed and inscribed with a gold liquid script. The puncture mark from its paper spike seems like an appalling blemish. A port report from the Clockwork Sun? We have that. So, the Clockwork Sun, the Circus, or the House of Rods and Chains. The mellifluous president folds up your report neatly and tosses it into the fire raging in the hearth. A bead of nervous sweat courses down his forehead as he watches it carefully, not looking away until it is ash. I see. Very good, Captain. Very good. Okay, increase the strength of the sun. Gained us some money. We have some gratitude from the society. Okay. Interesting. A port reception. There are always achievements to celebrate at the Royal Society, new publications, new inventions, new colleagues. Her Majesty's scientific work is never done. A few awed captains mingle in the palatial ballroom with astronomers, engineers, and scientists. Conversation is stilted, but the cheese and biscuits are plentiful, as is the port. The mellifluous president attempts to tell jokes. Spirits improve when the opposite of that, careless Deviless enters, carrying pilfered wines from the Rochester Club, accompanied by the inscribed tinkerer with a blistering homebrew. You wake up alone in your cabin, surrounded by the remnants of what appears to have been a party. Someone has remodeled your sink to be more aerodynamic. Headache is unforgivable. Okay, so we spent the gratitude on a terror reduction and Sky Story. Yeah, worse. Let's go to a different part of it. Nell's Tower. The Royal Society's observatory is named for King Charles' canniest mistress. Nell's Tower is the jewel in the Society's crown. A sign on the door in neat copper plate reads, Nell's Tower closed for the 13th annual Airy Dinner. Leave urgent business at doorstep. There's a polite cough at your shoulder. Turning, you see a tall man with a beard like a nest of vipers. The supercilious bursar introduces himself. I came to round up stragglers, but as a captain you are of rank sufficient to attend the dinner if you wish to attend. Sure. There'll be port, I hear. Oh, God, I'm just going to be sitting here having Oxford flashbacks all the way through this, aren't I? The dinner is held in the mahogany and marble imperial dining room of Airy House. Every piece of the dinner service is mismatched, and both the furniture and the personages in the room are pleasantly rumpled. The supercilious bursar brings you to the high table, where the 3 senior astronomers of Nell's Tower are holding court. You are introduced to the senatorial professor, the chair for the effulgent sciences, and the lecture for imperial affairs as the first course is served. So we can eat game pie to grant some supplies, which might be an idea because we're low, drink port to reduce terror, or eavesdrop on the conversation. No, pie. The meat is as rich as the Burgundy Reach wines popular in South London these days. It's been cooked in its own juices. Now the flesh is as tender as the reassurances of one of Maudlin's attendants. Cantankerite, don't you know? The lecturer in Imperial Affairs remarks, slicing into her own portion. The first course ends with a great smacking of lips and a general feeling of goodwill toward the chef. The supercilious bursar passes the dish of buttered potatoes with an oily smile. The conversation continues, lubricated by Herculean quantities of port. Buttered potatoes, roast squirmings, and sautéed Hybrian mushrooms are devoured in between rhetorical thrusts. My rabbit is in straits again. It's too delicious. No one comments on the obviously delicious rabbit perched idly atop the mountain of flavoured starch, or on the way it scratches at an ear, causing fur to plume through the air. You reach out a hand and pause halfway, expecting objections. No one even blinks. You collect the obviously delicious rabbit. Hopefully this won't happen again. So we can talk to the lecturer in Imperial Affairs, the chair for the effulgent sciences, or the senatorial professor. The chair for the effulgent sciences sounds awesome, and this is the kind of professor you want to talk to, is the weird one. Her eyes are wild, she's savage, the potatoes. Her conversation rambles, but her language is poetry. Is the rabbit a hallucination? I hadn't thought of it, but yeah, that would make sense. It's certainly something. She interrupts you repeatedly to make this point or that. At first these feel like random interjections, but by the end she's refuting points you made at the start of the course and anticipating your jokes with wild-eyed delight. I've always been in love with the heavens, is all the biography you get from her, however. The second course ends with the lecturer in Imperial Affairs telling a rather ribald joke, and a hearty toast to the continued health of all present. Sherbets produced in London's sweet shops, sponge cake from the Admiral Nelson on Port Prosper, clotted cream and actual strawberries grown in the gardens. More port. The conversation grows looser, the stories more risque. The supercilious bursar leans in conspiratorially. I arranged these dinners to promote unity, you understand. And of course, for the good memory of our previous president, who nobly argued for the introduction of the Society to the wilderness, and convinced Her Majesty of our utility. I don't know where he's from, don't ask. He toasts the large portrait of Airy that dominates the room. I'm going to keep talking to the effulgent. She's drawing something on the napkin. Are those limbs? Rays? She smiles widely. Something I saw last time I was permitted to use our great scope. Obviously, what's the point if we have to ask permission every time we move it? Did Isaac Newton need King Charles' permission to discover gravity? The third course comes to a close with a great groaning and heartfelt but false protestations that one could possibly manage cheese and biscuits after all this. The supercilious bursar leans in as the plates are cleared away. Before we adjourn, there's the question of patronage to consider. All eyes are on you. A hush falls over the table. The three faces of the astronomers are turned to you. The supercilious bursar continues, though nothing has changed. Our telescope is operated only by the will of the government. We're not allowed to move the telescope without permission. A bold skyfarer such as yourself might obtain such permission, or at least an official-looking document that could be conceivably construed as permission. Our astronomers would be very much interested in patronizing you. You bring them a permit, they can advance their researches. In exchange, they'll teach you what they know. So we can choose a patron. The lecturer in Imperial Affairs, the iron-haired astronomer, London's own appointment. The chair for the effulgent science is the wild-eyed astronomer, specializing in the habits of the stars. Or the senatorial professor, the blindfolded, cantankerous astronomer of old London. Well, we are going maximum iconoclast in this, so tell me more of the stars and what they think, and let's just do this. She lets out a high laugh, wild as the shrieks of the Batwing curators that ride the celestial winds. I'll show you such things, Captain. Come to the tower, do, and make sure you have a permit. Alright. Yeah, so we need to bring permits here. That's fine, but we can observe the sun. London authorizes and encourages this use of the telescope. The Ministry has stamped permits for this particular usage up to the next century, the bursar informs you. The sun's rays shine from Albion's farthest corner to London in all its glory. Gold as bright as a king's hoard. I was about to say horse. Burnishes the empire in radiance. The sun never dims. You draw away, dazzled. Yes, because we just looked through a telescope at the sun, and in retrospect, bad move. Okay, so that's what we've got in the tower. But over in the Rochester Club, a cosy country house bolted onto the side of the Society's glass houses and overgrown lawns. This is the meeting place of the infamous Rochester Racing Club. Brandy glasses gleam on the shelves, polished brass fixtures abound. A fire roars in the hearth, members sit in comfortable armchairs comparing war stories. Parts salvaged from broken trains adorn the walls. Inquiring to joining, it wouldn't be the first club I've randomly joined. The dismal debutante curls her lip, the boisterous Harriet cackles. The current Lord Rochester laughs gamely before abruptly stopping. Oh, you were serious? He coughs to conceal his embarrassment. Well, should you really wish to join our merry company, you'll have to prove yourself a proper racer. The careless deviless in her smoked velvet jacket praises you carefully. You'll need to prove your mettle, my dear. Win one of our races, and we'll be happy to admit you. Okay. The thundering terror of the sunless skies. The Rochester race is the competitive sport of choice of the Royal Society. How do you compete? Lord Rochester claps you on the back. Good sport, that. The rules are simple. Get to the destination port and back here in 30 days. Then you can call yourself a true Rochester racer. Savvy? He calls for order in the club room and gathers the other racers around. A quick toast is raised to your health, and then it's on to the race. Get back to the club within 30 days, having stopped at your destination in order to win. The floating parliament? We don't know where that is. Okay, that's problematic. Well, we'll do that or we won't. The workshops under the area, known collectively as Portsmouth House. The glass and brick factories are staffed by harassed inventors and engineers, working constantly to produce the next advancement in inventory and equipment. The arsenal. Smoke and soot, glass and steel, the ring of hammers on metal, the swearing of engineers, the acrid scent of sweat. Here in the bowels of Portsmouth House, the scientists of the Royal Society work to produce experimental designs for daring captains. A team of engineers led by the energetic mechanic are excited to get to work on whatever you'll pay them for. Here you can convert goods to experimental modifications which can be exchanged for unique equipment. So we can spend visions of the heavens and otherworldly artifacts, we've got those things. Also munitions, cage catches, dev experiments, stained glass, enigmas, and tea. Also, ask the energetic mechanic about their suit. They clank about the arsenal in an old diving suit. It has pistons and chains that were when the mechanic needs reinforcement. It's clearly no longer used for deep sea diving. The energetic mechanic gives you a delighted smile. So glad you asked. Yes, I did repurpose it. Did all the work myself. It keeps me warm in the cold and cool when things are a little too warm. Closer examination reveals tiny sigils of fire and ice scintillating across the diving suit's surface. For a moment, their tone is rueful. It cost me nearly everything to create. I wasn't sure it would be worth it, but the places I've been able to go, to see, I can travel to Waste where all the stars are dead, or explore the eye of the storm that speaks. Oh yeah, that's the one we've run into a couple of times. So, let's peruse the designs. Pieces as much abandoned as finished are stored in this long gallery. Equipment gleams behind glass cases like exhibits in a technical-minded museum. Take your time, the energetic mechanic says, leaning against the wall. Just let me know if I can be of any assistance. So the Montresor chamber occupies a bridge slot, needs 50 veils, 4 hold and 4 quarters, nice. Rossetti cabins, 25, 8 armor, 2 quarters. Amniotic crew containment, 13 armor, 5 quarters, but needs veils 75. Mighty Pen defensive library system. Armor 5, hold 4. It uses an orc slot, which is a lot. The Mechanical Turk. Hold 1, Hidden Compartments 1. The Proserpina Mining Array. Presumably that lets us have mining as well and increases our hold. Carmilla, which is a cannery that's matched the bridge slot. Mirrors 25 and gives 5 armor. That's quite an interesting selection of things. Because what have we got in our bridge slot at the minute? Those are all slots. Just more quarters. How many experimental designs were each of these? 12, 8, 19, 9, 5, 10, 9. I would like to get the better mining. But that's 10 modifications. What can I spend? On cannery specimens I have 1, that'll be 1. Just heavens, I have 8, that'd be 9. Otherworldly artifacts I've got 4. And that's actually I can probably get that. I'll hang on to one of my artifacts just because the game is lagging. I don't know if it's my computer that's got issues today. Apologies all. It was 10 I needed, right? Okay, that wasn't what I meant to click. I just gave away one of my specimens. Boo. The Proserpina Superior Mining and Smelting Array. So, yeah, gives us mining and also 4 hold slots. I wish I could be out there like you, but I don't get time off. The energetic mechanic sighs. I could ask, I suppose, but there's so much to be done, and I never like leaving a thing unfinished. Cool. Good talk. Yeah, now we have 24 hold. That is many. And I could, in theory, lose the additional cargo bay, go down to 19, and then I have an extra orc slot. and the workshops. Here the Society constructs specialist equipment to further the Society's explorations, London's armaments, and the occasional Sky Captain's adventures. Talk to the engineers. The senior engineer marches across the smoggy workshop floor to meet you. Well, she barks. Hello. We're frightfully busy. We're examining the effects of vitrifaction on Murgatroyd's tea. We've just had a breakthrough. There's a gentle explosion behind her, followed by the tinkle of shattering glass. I'm sorry, mustache. Do visit the arsenal if you're looking for something special. Okay, yeah, we know. We just did that, but sure. And visit the inscribed Tinkerer, the most famous or notorious engineer associated with the Royal Society. The inscribed Tinkerer likes her workbench tidy and her tea as strong as the devil's opinions. She believes in iteration of technology and society of people, and her inventions are intended to mitigate specific dangers and obstacles of the high wilderness. Her tea-stained notebook bulges with blueprints, and her skin is covered in inky treatments of correspondence. She raises an eyebrow as you enter her office. Thank God. I was in need of a break. The inscribed Tinkerer can provide truly exceptional equipment if she likes you. Okay, yeah. Well, what is the request? The inscribed Tinkerer produces a slim notebook. The correspondence, Captain, the incandescent language, the Pentecost of tongues and stars. She invites you to examine the broken sigils that score her skin mirrored in her notebook. I've heard of a unique sigil I've not come across before. It's been cited by students in Trader's Wood, by an old friend in the mausoleum, and by my least favorite person in Pan. As a captain, you could get to those places and confirm the sighting. I'll give you access to a few of my unique designs should you wish to help. Okay, those are two of those places I know how to get to. What shops do we have? They're selling tea. A disheveled research associate sells caddies of dried tea from an oak chest. Due to an unfortunate but entirely understandable administrative error, the professor's entire research budget has been spent on tea, she explains, shuffling her feet awkwardly. Please buy some. Again, this is all relatable Oxford foods. Academics are always the same. Okay, so should we get going? We've got 30 days to make it to Parliament, and we're immediately going in the wrong direction, so you have to reverse out of here. Why do you have to reverse out of here? Rockford turn. More heart sickness. Great. Well, let's have a knees up. And fail. Lose supplies, gain terror. Boo to that. Yes, the Royal Society, I know, I did all of that. Okay, so where do we think Parliament might be? I'm going to try going south out of here, there should be a connection, and then I'm going to try going kind of generally northeast and just regularly scan. I have until the 17th of January to get there and back. This might be difficult. I literally have no idea. I really hope there's a way down through here. Because once again, literally no idea. What's with all the steam wheels? Like, yes, we get the general premise of a turbine. Okay, it doesn't look like there is a way out down here. There's something up here. These are background rocks, and I shouldn't be so nervous about them. Nothing. Okay, well, let's just keep doing the thing. Okay, no. My stream preview is messing up, so if the stream is hiccuping again, I can only apologize. Now, this is just taking us round to the top of this passage again, and we're about to circle back into the Royal Society, aren't we? Okay. Turn. I think there was a way through to the north. We've already had 2 of our 30 days. There may not be a way through to the north. Maybe there is. Maybe there is not. Okay, well, I'm going in a direction, so let's take it. A touch of the skies. Skyfarers exposed to the haunting light of the stars even, are prone to sudden obsessions and erratic behaviour. An irregularity in the galley. The table is neatly laid, but the plates are glued in place and the cutlery nailed down. The culprit is quickly discovered when she tries to nail the chief engineer's hat to the chief engineer's head. Everything has its place, she explains when she's dragged before you. What's the... no, combine them to quarters, that's fine. Lose 1 crew, going to terror. Yeah. They're no good to you in this state. You confine them to quarters and resolve to discharge them in the next port. The atmosphere aboard is subdued for a time, but it's understood that these things happen in the sky. The heaven's price, they call it. My scout has found something. There is something ghastly up this way. Do I want to see something ghastly? Really? Well, I seem to be heading in that direction. I suppose I'd like to at least know what the ghastly thing is. Oh, it's a weft. Yeah! Escaped it. Your commands are clear and urgent, substituting for sense when fear drives it out. Steam is coaxed from the engines, course set. Gradually, minute by minute, your locomotive pulls itself through a thrashing tangle of past and future. Time returns to its proper and acceptable order. Ah! You know what? I've decided I don't want to see something ghastly. I'm going this way. Ah. You may be able to tell that shocked me a bit. Scout has nothing. Here we have a ministry ship. Here we have more bots. 1 second. No spam bots, I do not wish to have you in my chat. And if I wanted to become famous, let's be real, I already would. Now, do we reckon that the floating colony is going to be in this area or this unexplored area? So that will very much determine where I want to explore. Something engraved down there. Everything is very pink in this part of space. Alright, we're just coming closer to Brabus in this way, but apparently there's a wonder up here. And I can do with the Terran Drop. Oh, it's the Tower of Chimes! It's Big Ben, everybody! Or, you know, the trivia pedant in me is like, not Big Ben's. Well, it'd still be St. Stephen's Tower in this, it's the Elizabeth Tower nowadays. But yes, I should have seen that coming with all the pink because it's home to an exclusive club in Northern London, and they use that same pink a lot in all the kind of stuff around there. There's something up here. Oh, and it might well be Parliament, actually, if Big Ben's just there. And my aunt is talking about voting. Yeah! Okay, and we had to be back by the 17th of January. We can totally manage that. Yeah! The ancient palace drifts through the void, a monument to British democracy and the greatness it believes it brought to the high wilderness. An elderly guard watches with suspicion as you dock, but relaxes at the sight of fellow Londoners. Palace of Highminster. The Empress shipped the Houses of Parliament brick by brick from old London to the high wilderness to help her go. Yeah, that seemed like it would happen. It didn't take long for her to grow weary of the questioning of her authority and have it severed from London. That also tracks. Parliament now drifts free in this distant corner of the sky. It continues to pass laws, but hardly anyone pays attention. Now let's do a court report. While the palace is off limits to most, there are always ministers and civil servants whose busy schedules allow a moment for a free drink. You ask the obvious question. What's the point of Parliament when her renewed majesty never gives her assent to any of its proposed laws? They bristle. Tyrants fall, democracy endures. There's so much things. So there's stuff. Smiling, nervous young people greet you as you disembark. Excuse us, the man in the yellow rosette calls. Excuse me, a minute of your time? The smiling man wearing the yellow rosette cuts in first. Captain, join our campaign to celebrate Albion and restore old-school patriotism to the land by officially renaming Wednesday as Victoria's Day. Praise her renewed majesty for all she has... The smiling woman wearing the green rosette effortlessly cuts in. For killing democracy, for our subjugation. No, Captain, we must make a stand for freedom. We must show the Empress that we will not just sit idle. Join us as we triumphantly rename her precious Victoria sponge to the people's cake. I mean, we will vote in opposition to the Empress, of course, if you've been watching the show at all. The two scribble down your answer. Thank you, says the woman with the green rosette, and turns to her opposing number. One for me, a clear majority. Too bad that nobody's listening, mutters the man in the yellow rosette. The two disappear towards the palace, where no new laws have made it onto the books in years. We can explore Traitor's Green. It was originally named for Cromwell. Someone clearly holds a grudge. Bioshock Infinite reference. Maybe actually, yeah. This would have come out after that, yeah. Could well have been. The replanted gardens are a pleasant place to enjoy a walk, though the building is out of bounds to casual visitors. The Empress's Gate is particularly fortified by a heavy chain and a padlock too rusted to ever be unlocked. A few protesters are taking a break to picnic on the lawn away from the guards. Braver or more foolhardy ones sit on the aisle's edge, swinging their legs over the sky as they eat their sandwiches. It's near them that you spot the fellow in the suit, swaying uncertainly. His footsteps have taken him precariously close to the edge. Nobody seems to have noticed. Yes, no, I am absolutely going to run over and help. He sees you coming. Startled, he steps back and with a drunken cry is gone. Oh no. Over the edge and soon little but a dot in the swirling clouds of the wilderness. A small army of civil servants soon swarms from the nearest gate, staring over the edge, agreeing what appalling timing and manners the fellow had, and already arguing over whether the most appropriate memorial would be a bronze plaque on a bench or a new ficus somewhere within the parliamentary halls. A tap on your shoulder distracts you, a tall clerk flanked by two clay men. "Excuse us." He glances you up and down. "Yes, very suitable. A moment of your time?" You are advancing your parliamentary career. Well, that's worrying. He sits at a huge mahogany desk in prestigious Downing corridor. Your conversation doesn't distract him from writing notes in the margins of endless pieces of paperwork. He pauses his scribbling only to sip from a large cup of stone-cold tea, or to scratch his head with the pen's long silver nib. He looks down his nose at you with the grim expression of a headmaster waiting for an excuse to break out his favourite birch rod. "Ah, the captain. A moment, do take a seat. Tea? Ah, yes, I will call for some tea. The loss of our dear minister for..." He hesitates, covertly checking a file. "Lustrum, yes, is a tragedy, but we must move on. You seem just the sort I'm looking for, lucid. Breathing. Have you considered a career in politics?" He holds up a hand. "No, I do not care about history or affiliations. A bum in the chair will suffice. The Department of Albion Affairs would be a suitable starting point. If you are interested, I will set the wheels in motion." Okay, so go to Lustrum to become an MP, question mark. God, this is just turning into that one season of Poldark, where I will be the worst MP because I am a blatant socialist revolutionary. Ah, and the other person we were meant to be possibly pardoning, the disgraced former courtier. She had friends in Parliament. Perhaps they might be willing to fill in a little of her history for you. The MP for Lesser Richmond is puttering about the corridors. She sputters into her handkerchief when you mention the courtier's name. She asks you to wait in her office while she fetches the courtier's friend. A bewhiskered under-secretary appears in the doorway. He offers you the MP's ginger biscuits and a dram of her whiskey. He makes sure the door is firmly closed before he'll tell you anything. Eventually he finishes, quite red-faced. You were given to understand the throne was thoroughly cleaned afterwards. The same cannot be said for the courtier's reputation. God, is this a reference back to original Fallen London and one of its things where you can have a threesome with, I think it's an ambassador and his sister on the Empress's throne? Excellent. Well, I think I know who I'm pardoning, because get it. Find the race marshal. Lord Rochester is propping himself up at the estranged bar. He needs to confirm you've reached the point of Parliament. Lord Rochester regards you with bleary-eyed delight. "How sensational!" he brays, with rather more S's than usual. "Jolly glad you've made it. Care for a tipple?" Shakes his head. "No, you'd best be on your way." He waves you back to your engine, but not before thrusting a few bottles into your arms for the return leg. Observe the People's Perpetual Protest. A ragtag mob of protesters has set up camp on the lawn. No two want the same thing, but their cacophonous chanting is impressive. Parliament has little power, but at least there's a chance it might listen. That's more than the protesters can expect at the throne of ours. The protesters raise their voices with a spirit of camaraderie and a united belief that words can still make the world a better place, with neither anger in their words nor violence in their demands. At 3 on the dot, the huge portcullis opens, and the protesters are served tea, scones, and little cucumber sandwiches cut into triangles. A little recognition of the protesters' ongoing service to this most vital part of British democracy. Sure, why not? Protest. I do have opinions. You scream until hoarse, wave borrowed placards, and invent witty slogans that trip off the tongue and are quickly picked up by those around you. The world does not seem a notably better place as a result of all this protesting. Still, even a tiny ripple has the potential to become a tidal wave. You have marginally raised awareness of whatever your call was, maybe. And this is one of the places the verdant fragment might be 60%. And it is! A taste on the wind. The driver sniffs at the air for any hint of loose verdant spores dragged in by passing travellers. I can taste something. A fear. Not death, but the loss of something important. The fragment doesn't want to return. It doesn't want to give up what it's become. They close their eyes, focusing. I can taste its design as well. It's host knew of a place called Hostrom Deep, a desolate corner of the sky. We meant to hide there. The deep will be hard to find. When we're close, we need to use our scout. Okay, the deep lies to the west-southwest of London. Can't get into the House of Commons or the House of Lords. Or the Victoria Tower. What are the shops like here? Cheap souls, or supplies and crockery. Okay, we're going to run a bit long, but just because it's time limited, I want to head back to the Royal Society before I completely forget this quest exists. Cheap souls of Parliament, that checks. Yeah, pretty much. Wrong button. It's just such an iconic tone sequence. Yeah, because we want to be back there by the 17th of January. No, wait, the 16th. Can't count. Number of days in a month. But that's fine. That's still like 22 days. It's only been 8 days of our 30s to be left. Stop punching the mic. Keep thinking I might change to my standing mic. Just slightly better quality. And my aquarium is a lot quieter than it has been because we actually bothered to clean the filter. So maybe that will be possible for future streams. I shall have to remember this plan is basically the main limiting factor here is me remembering a thing I said on stream. Because God knows, I finished these and just wiped from memory immediately. Again, yes, a person could take notes. Is that person me? Who can say? Through here, right? Yeah. And once again, I try and hydrate while driving and nearly drive into a wall. And yes, this is very much a me problem, but here we are. This is the way, right? Yeah. Follow this one round. Don't drink and drive. Yeah, that's... You make a solid point. I really hope they sell fuel here. I am not getting a drip installed just for while I'm streaming. That seems excessive even to me. I mean, also kind of like something I would do, but maybe a little much. To the Rochester. Claim victory in the race. We have triumphed. Stream snatched from the jaws of victory. Yes, but now we are back. Have I come back just to do the wrap-up? Yes. So yes, if it got cut off, we finished the race, joined the Rochester, and they gave us 500 sovereigns for it, and that was all great. And also they sold fuel and supplies, and that was all very exciting. So we're fully restocked, got a bunch of things to do, but for now, we are done. So, that was the wrong button. I meant to click back to title screen. Let's just go to Facecam so you don't have to watch the Streamlabs thing. It is me, sitting in the darkness, because I didn't put a backdrop on here, because I didn't expect to have to use it during the stream. Cool. So, I'll just do the wrap-up like this, sitting in a nebulous void of slightly off chroma key, because it was playing up today. Okay, yes. Thank you so much to everyone who's watched. Thanks to those of you who stayed through the numerous technical problems we've had. I don't know what's up with that. I really hope it doesn't continue tonight. But yes, thank you so much. If you've been watching this, I can only apologise. But if you've been watching this, you know where to find me. But just in case, this is twitch.tv/Saracent, SERASENT. You'll see the title cards in a minute because that scene will work. Yes, I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 2 PM British time. That is 9 AM Eastern, 6 Pacific. Other time zones are available. I will continue running through Sunless Skies until morale improves. I don't know. I'm looking at doing some different things on occasional streams, but this is the main game for now. Having a lot of fun playing it with y'all, especially now I'm getting onto stuff I genuinely do not know. If you miss anything, the VOD will be available on my Twitch for 2 months after broadcast. The VOD for this will probably be in like 7 parts. So sorry about that. But you can also look at my YouTube, which is also Saracent, has videos all the way back to the start of the channel. And up to currently the end of Paradise Killer, having some issues getting more stuff edited at the minute, which is mostly, those issues are mostly just me having no time. So you can subscribe on YouTube to get notified when I put more content up. You can follow us on Twitch to get notified when I'm going live. If you feel that I apparently need money to get past whatever the hell technical problems are plaguing me, you can, of course, subscribe or cheer on Twitch, but you very much don't need to. Just turn up and be chill. It's all good here. Hydration Coke Gang Gang, yes indeed. If you need any updates on the stream or the general state of the internet, or increasingly at this time of year, me screaming about Eurovision, best place to find me is on Twitter at Waruce, that's WARUCE. And if you want to see me in other streams, you can. On Saturday nights, so tonight, in 6 hours, 6:30 PM Eastern Time, that's 11:30 at night British, you can see me on twitch.tv/The Bard's Playhouse, that's TheBardsPlayhouse, where I am playing in an ongoing Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition Fall of London Chronicle. It's a lot of fun. I was ill last week, but now I am alive, and it's great, and I will be back. I mean, alive is negotiable, it's a vampire game. And also, coming up in 2 weeks, May the 15th, you can see me on twitch.tv/IdleMichael, that's IDLEMICHAEL, with Michael Fox, good friend of the stream, long-time personal friend, and generally cool guy, hosting his Cabin of Ludological Delights game show, where I will be appearing. That's the 15th of May at 7 PM British time. That is, you'd think I'd have worked these out by now, 2 PM Eastern, 11 AM Pacific, other time zones. As ever, very much available. You can live in more than 3 places, it turns out. Maybe not at once. Don't try and exist in multiple places at once. It ends poorly. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to stop talking crap now and go away. And possibly have a nap before tonight. Nah, who sleeps? Okay, I'll shut up now. Actually, trying to press the raid button, but it wasn't. No, he's not live. I was going to launch a raid on Michael, but he's not live, so never mind. Okay. Thank you for bearing with all of my crap. So, I will let you leave now, because I'm also going to leave. So, love you all. Goodbye.